Hello, everyone, and welcome here to Town Hall Classic, Episode 1, the brand new World of Warcraft Classic podcast. My name is Salah Jake. I'll be your host here. Joining me for this show, moving forward tonight and forever, we've got Zoya, March, and Kala. And we're going to go down the line, introduce ourselves before we talk about what we're going to talk about tonight. Naturally, when you consider Vanilla WoW, there is infinite topics. Like, there's so many different things we could talk about, but we do have a great show lined up here for you. So I will start with Zoya, actually. Zoya, man, what's your background in just kind of everything you've done over the years with Blizzard, but also your story for getting into World of Warcraft?
Well, as a esports content creator, I started with StarCraft back in 2010. That's how I actually met Jake, was through an MLG event. And since then, if you've been a fan of either of us, you've seen each other cross-pollinating over the years. I think this is like the 7th show Jake and I have done on his channel now together. So we've been doing a lot together. Heroes of the Storm, Breakaway, now WoW.
D&D.
And Dungeons and Dragons too, yeah. But as far as classic WoW goes, my dad and my older cousin were big gamers growing up. I started with Blizzard, StarCraft 1, Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, and eventually my cousin got into the beta for the original classic WoW, or retail vanilla WoW. I played on his account every once in a while. I think I leveled a druid to like 14 then. Eventually got the game. Back in retail vanilla, I had two 60s. I had a 60 gnome mage and a 60 Tauren druid. Alliance side on my mage, I only rated up to Blackwing Lair, but on my horde druid, feral druid, I ended up rating up through AQ 40. And then since then, since I guess about 2011, I've been constantly playing on vanilla, BC, and Wrath of the Lich King private servers. If you count like boosted rate servers as well, I've probably leveled to 60 10 plus times now, but with just 1x servers, I've done it 6 times. So I've done a lot of vanilla WoW over the last few years. Did it back when I was like 14, 15, and I've even been able to turn that knowledge of vanilla WoW into a D&D game, which we've been playing here on this channel, a classic WoW world Dungeons and Dragon adventure. So I've been doing a lot with classic, and I am absurdly hyped for this game. Its private servers are getting so old and tiring, and all the drama and nonsense that goes on with them. I'm just so happy to have.
We could probably do a whole podcast episode just on private servers.
Yeah, we could. It just feels good to have something permanent. To know that this next character I level to 60 on a classic WoW server is not going anywhere. The server's not going to go down. There's not going to be reasons to leave the server because of drama or whatever. This is going to be a real 1 to 60. I can put my heart into it. I can grind up the professions to 300. So that's why I'm excited about classic WoW right now.
Awesome, March. How about you?
Well, anybody who follows me knows that I'm primarily a Heroes of the Storm content creator, stream on Twitch. But yeah, my first introduction to Blizzard games was with Warcraft 3 and Vanilla WoW. My older brother actually is the one who got me into Vanilla. He asked my parents to buy the CDs for him, because back then you'd have to install them with discs. And I think I was 9 years old or something when I got Vanilla WoW, and I made a troll rogue. Troll races what immediately caught my eye, and then I kind of leveled them to level 20, and then started re-rolling different classes, and got into this phase where I was just kind of making different tunes, primarily horde tunes, and just trying different classes to level 10, 15 before I landed on Undead Rogue, and that was my main tune for probably all the way through BC, and then I re-rolled Blood Elf since it was a new class. But yeah, primarily PvPer, but my love for WoW sort of fizzled out in the later expansions until I eventually quit and now do Heroes full time. But I mean, I'm such a WoW Classic fanboy that when they announced it last year, I was over the moon with that announcement. I think there's video of me on the internet somewhere live reacting to that announcement at BlizzCon, and I was sinking in my seat, dude. It was crazy. So I'm so hyped for this game. I really can't wait.
We're going to come back to the announcement, because that is something that we're definitely going to talk about. But Kala, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. My name's Kala, or Curtis. I have worked for a number of esports organizations in Heroes of the Storm, same game that March comes from. Actually, most of us kind of dabbled in Heroes of the Storm for
That's
a long
how we
while.
all know each other, in fact.
Yeah.
So it's good to get that kind of on the table.
I'm a full-time streamer. I cast amateur Heroes of the Storm as well. And I first got into World of Warcraft when Star Wars Galaxies died. That was my first major MMO, and I think I was like 9 years old when I started playing it. But man, that game just pulled me in so quickly. It had the social experience unlike any other online game I've ever played. The whole game was basically built on a social experience or an economy, and no other game I had ever played did something like that. And when I went to World of Warcraft, I still remember this specific day. I went over to my buddy Sean's house. He's my roommate now still. And I was super young. It was 2004, and I was just playing guitar, and he's like, "Yo, dude, I got this new game. Like, you got to check it out." And I was the guy who played a lot of video games, like console games, played a bunch of RuneScape, played SWG, but I couldn't get into another MMO because none of them had the social experience that Star Wars Galaxies had. And yeah,
the bounty hunting, yeah,
exactly. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's drawing comparisons between old MMOs and World of Warcraft Classic is something we could do an entire show on. But yeah, I got pulled right into the game. I spent that entire night from I think 6 o'clock p.m. the moment I sat down to his computer until probably 12 o'clock noon the next day, straight playing because I couldn't stop. And I made a Night Elf Warrior because he played a Night Elf Rogue, and I was like, I want to be able to play with my buddy, sort of thing. I want to get familiar with this area so I can go home and convince my parents to get it for me so I could play it on the computer. And yeah, dude, I played this Night Elf all night. And at one point, some guy just came up because I was creating bags because I thought it was such a cool experience. And he gave me a gold, and I actually like died. I thought it was the most amazing thing in the world because I saw how important currency was. You know, I was farming all night and I got like 10 silver or something like that. And the buddy just rolls up level 40 or something like that, gives me 1 gold to buy bags or buy materials to get bags. And I don't know, that experience is just burned in my head. And yeah, I cannot wait for Classic WoW. As soon as it got announced, I was basically sitting beside March, and I just, same thing, lost my mind. It is going to be my absolute favorite game, and I can't wait to play it.
1 whole gold.
1 whole gold.
It was big.
Dude, no, 1 whole
level.
gold.
That's insane, dude. Yeah. Like, yeah. So for me, my life is, you know, in terms of gaming, has been defined by MMOs and esports. And obviously we all know each other from Heroes of the Storm esports. That's kind of where we met. Actually, Zoe and I go back a little bit further than that. But I was a competitive Smash Brothers player from Melee 12 years ago. I worked through just the channels. I worked with Major League Gaming. I eventually started working on StarCraft 2, and I was already like a big World of Warcraft guy. I played since, I'll get to that story, like day 8 of WoW's like life cycle, I think was when I started playing. It wasn't day 1 because I didn't pre-order it. But yeah, so I went to a BlizzCon to watch StarCraft, the StarCraft World Finals 5 years ago, and kind of fell in love with Heroes of the Storm there. Went on to end up casting a BlizzCon a few years later, right? It's just crazy turn of events. Go to watch, and then I'm on the stage casting the grand finals with Grubby, which is like a dream. And since then, you know, I've been doing stuff with Heroes, but WoW Classic got announced last year at BlizzCon, and yeah, you guys were probably sitting in the crowd. I had stuff I had to do. I was working last year at BlizzCon as well, and I was getting up. You know, we're in the main stage, we're in the arena. I'm getting up, moving to leave, and I hear him talk about vanilla ice cream. I was just like, my favorite flavor is vanilla. I'm just like, I was just kind of turned and I'm like off on the side. I'm about to leave the entire venue, but I can still see and hear everything because it's so loud. And I just stop and I turn and it happens. And I started crying, like straight up like a little girl. I was so overwhelmed. I was crying. I couldn't believe it. And you know, we've been talking about it endlessly, and now it's finally going to be a real thing. So here we are with the podcast. In terms of me starting to play the game, you know, as a very little kid, I was playing Phantasy Star Online on the Dreamcast. That was my intro to MMOs. Played PSO, moved on to playing that on the GameCube, in which I moved on to Final Fantasy 11. And then I was at my best friend's house, and his brother was playing an Undead Rogue in Tears Fall Glades, and I watched him kill just like a villager or something, and then cannibalize it. And I remember being resilient, like Final Fantasy 11 is the best game. No MMO could ever be better. I'm never gonna play it. That was me, right? But then I saw him playing WoW for like 2 minutes, and went hunting. Every store was sold out, driving around, calling every place I could find. Where is this? And I ended up going to a town about an hour away. I wasn't even there looking for WoW. We were there for dinner, and I popped into Toys R Us, and I found WoW behind a Hello Kitty game or something, and the rest is history. Played a lot through, I played through AQ40, was pretty much where I kind of, life caught up with me or whatever. Never really had time for Nax because BC came in and took over my life at that point. But I was also a heavy PvPer towards the tail end of my life, holding Grand Marshal for a long time for the Alliance. As you can see, I'm wearing my Alliance colors. Zoya swings both ways, and March and Kala are Horde. But I mean, throughout your WoW history and Classic, would you guys say you're PvP or PvE primarily?
PvP.
Definitely PvP.
PvP
Towards the
for
end.
sure.
Yeah, for sure. For me,
I mean, you have to dabble into PvE if you want to be relevant in PvP, unless all you do is just straight up PvP and you somehow, grind your way into rank 12, 13 sort of thing. But then still, you need to get trinkets. Like I played a mage, so getting something like Toep from Molten Core was super important because you want to be able to, have trinkets to be able to one-shot people.
Yeah, I would pretty much exclusively only PvE for the purpose of like getting geared for PvP. Yeah. Outside of that, I would never like recreationally PvE.
I enjoyed both.
Yeah,
But if I had to choose one, PvPer.
I was in I think number 2 guild on the server, and I was a class leader. So I was in every raid every week. That was. But when I wasn't raiding or preparing, I was PvPing. Right. That's. You can only raid so much, right? It's just kind of the nature of the beast when it comes to the scheduling, especially 40-man raids being as tough as they are. But okay, intros aside, we're going to just jump into our first topic, which is demo expectations. Now, if you're out of the loop and you're tuning into the show and you actually don't know what WoW Classic is or pretty much what we're getting in just 15 days or something, they announced that they're going to be doing I should confirm that we are doing a giveaway for Virtual Ticket. They're doing a demo for World of Warcraft Classic, which is vanilla WoW, for every single Virtual Ticket owner, as well as everyone that is attending BlizzCon. Looks like Kala has exploded, but that is fine, and he is right back just like that. Perfect. So in that demo, I think they said we're getting, 2 zones? So we assume... like Elwyn and probably Durotar. Kala, you're muted.
Yeah.
You muted, Kala.
My Discord's being really weird. I hit the mute button and then it just canceled out of the
Yes,
call.
That happens on our show all the time.
Yeah, our other podcast, that happens all the time.
But yeah, I think that it's definitely going to be those 2, or maybe not definitely, but higher chance that it's those 2 zones, just because you can have multiple races go there. Like on Horde side, you can play an Orc or Troll sort of thing, and there's no other areas where you're able to do that.
I think that would make the most sense, definitely.
They might just go all out.
Yeah.
I have no idea what to expect. It was very vague. They said 2 zones. I'm assuming it's the Orc zone and the Human zone.
Probably, yeah.
We have no idea what the level cap will be. We have no idea.
I mean, it could be Durotar and
I thought they said level 10 was going to be the cap.
I never saw anything about a cap. The way they described it was boars and bandits. Boars is Durotar and bandits is Elwyn Forest.
The other interesting thing about the video is they also stated that they said it would be up until at least the 8th, implying that maybe they would extend the dates of the demo. But again, that's, all the written articles did state specifically the 2nd of November until the 8th. Beyond that, I mean, I don't know what else we could even ask for expectations, because we can just talk about the changes versus no changes, which is kind of bleeds into each other anyways. So there's obviously the big question, and they've answered some of these questions already as to how pure this game will be when you compare it to what the original product was. Because Battle for Azeroth, if you are a WoW player that never played pre-Cataclysm, essentially. You guys have never seen the original Azeroth. You guys have played a very different game, frankly. BFA is a different MMO in a lot of ways. The identity is completely different. So when it comes to the changes, it comes down to graphics, quality of life, in terms of like the map, showing whether or not the map is or where the quest goes. Do you need add-ons for that? So let's just kind of start with graphics. They confirmed that there's not going to be any changes to the character models, right? And I don't know if there's going to be an option to toggle on the new character models or not. But they did say they're redoing the spell animations. So they're going to be like updated, but they're going to be the old, like if a mage moved like this, they're going to make sure they replicate that exactly to what vanilla was like. Where do you guys think graphics overall should stand? Should they update the water, etc.?
They should update nothing.
Man, I remember the old water. I forgot about that. They made a huge graphical overhaul of the water. Holy crap. But I'm okay with them just keeping it like just pure to the original vanilla WoW. Like I'd be totally on board with that. But I'm more like in the realm of I'm not that much of a purist, where like if they did give us like prettier water, or like let us toggle the character graphic updates or the tune graphic updates, I wouldn't be like baby raging about it either. I'd be like, all right, it's fine. Still classic WoW for the most part, you know.
Zoya?
No, it's not still classic WoW for the most part with updated graphics. March, you silly man. I mean, I'm okay with a toggle, but the default should be the original classic graphics, and there 100% should be the original classic graphics. If they do like any forced updates or models, maybe even do it through add-ons, I don't know, but it should be the same graphics for sure. This is classic WoW, so
I think that the game, if you were just to straight up copy paste it before and onto current hardware and monitors, it would look a little jank. So I think they'd have to make a few minor adjustments here and there just to make it look good on current hardware. But aside from that, I think that they should do absolutely everything in their power just to make it look the way that it did. That means older textures, that means older models, that means janky cast animations where your undead stops with his hands just pointing to the ground while you're ghetto hearthing, stuff like that. Really crappy movements so that you can actually moonwalk, so that you can jump onto walls and stuff. Like all of that stuff, even though technically maybe it wasn't meant to be in the game, should try to be in the game. Because part of, like, I was a duelist, like I was so much of a duelist in that game. I would sit out front of Orgrimmar and just duel for hours on end, like a lot of other people. And if you can moonwalk during your duels, like part of it was styling on kids. Like if you could do that, moonwalk in between like your kidney shots and your backstabs and stuff like that, like you look cooler than other players. Like stuff like that. I want to be able to do that. Sorry, I'm vain, but damn it, that'd be sick.
No, I mean, that's honestly, I'm a melee player, right? I come from melee, and that's the exact argument. There's a lot of imperfections, based on bugs or whatever that weren't designed, but it's part of what makes that game brilliant. And if they were to ever change that, it would be terrible. But I would not mind melee having a slightly prettier version, right? Slightly higher resolution textures. I think that's the one thing that I would be interested in seeing changed myself. The character models of the dwarf faces are hilarious in vanilla sometimes, but doesn't mean I like them. I like them in a different way. So I think if there's one thing I'd be interested in seeing updated for myself, it would be that. Server cap. What do you? Oh, well, no, we actually should go about cross realm first. Part of the identity in vanilla WoW was you played on your server. The Horde and Alliance on that server existed on that server. You learned everyone, right? It was a community, it was a culture, and names meant something back then. Nowadays, they don't. Have they talked on this at all? I don't think they have.
They haven't talked about anything, man.
Yeah.
Very little. Yeah. It's been very
speculation.
Little. This is a really, really important topic, though, because it completely, again, I got drawn to World of Warcraft based on its social aspects. And if you push the number of players available to be on a server to 7,000, 10,000, the social experience almost disappears. If you have 10,000 people on a server, your name is nobody anymore. You can go ninja loot something and they're like, whatever, we just need a rogue. Who cares? Just pull them in again. I keep saying rogue and ninja looting. I swear I didn't do it. when I used to play. But anyways, yeah, like the social experience completely changes.
Scumlord.
I think if anything, they need to stick to what it was before. I believe, Zoe, you were mentioning somewhere in the realm of 2,500 to 3,500 sort of thing.
I think so. I think that was about the range. It was about 3,000 server cap. I think at some point, it might have been in BC, they increased it to 5,000, but having played on servers like Elysium and Light's Hope, where they get over 10,000 population on a vanilla server, it is overpopulated. It has nothing to do with being able knowing who you are reputation-wise. It is unplayable because there are so many mining nodes, so many herb nodes. The servers were designed for 3,000 people, so when you're tripling that, sometimes even more, depending on, I think Elysium was hitting like 17K originally or something absurd like that. I can't remember for sure. The game wasn't designed to hold that many people. Even if you up the respawn rates of herbs and stuff, it's still not good. I think this is one of the... We're kind of crossing the two between cross servers and realm population. I think those two are two of the things that, if they do end up making changes, these are some of the things they cannot change, or it'll cripple the game.
I agree 1,000%, because it's not only that, but it's also, there's something about the economy that existed in vanilla WoW where every, crafting was so important, right? You could just be a gatherer if you wanted to, but that's how you made money. Money was not easy to come by. Again, if you're not a vanilla WoW player, you don't just willy-nilly buy your skills when you level up. You have to think about, like, do I need track humanoids? Sure. Do I need track undead? Probably not. I'm not going to spend 10 silver on that because I might need that for XYZ. You don't have to think about that in modern WoW, right? You just get everything when you level up. It's just like, oh, you learn these abilities. Cool. But the economy, gold, everything, working towards your first mounts, all of that is the magic in that game, right? It just feels so real. I swear to God, WoW taught me how to save money in real life. I swear to God.
I can
That's
see that.
interesting.
Now's the part where you connect the dots between this conversation and realm population. Go.
Well, that's directly tied into realm population, because if it's inflated, there's too many people, it could completely ruin the economy in terms of, like you said, the crafting will be just overwhelmed, right? There's too many people producing too much, therefore the value goes way down, therefore the actual, things like getting enough gold for your mount and stuff, I feel like it would have a negative impact on it.
I think so too.
I feel like it definitely would have a negative impact on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want the server experience to be similar to what it was when I was growing up or when I first played. That's the most important thing. Like, yes, all of these design philosophies remaining the exact same, obviously very, very important, but a huge part, and again, I'm going to reiterate, is the social experience of classic WoW, one that simply doesn't exist in retail World of Warcraft. The social experience that Classic WoW provided does not exist currently, and that's what I want so badly. And I think that server population was a very big part of that. It was super important to me because, yeah, like it felt like everything you did had implications. Like you could build notoriety. You could be known as that guy who will just beat you in every single duel. The enemy factions on your server they'll see your name and they won't mess with you because they know that they'll A, lose, and if they bring 3, they'll also lose, and C, if they bring more than that, then you'll just bring your buddies and body them anyways. So stuff like that is, I think it's so important to keep the way that it used to be.
Well, it goes even beyond like the notoriety that you get. I mean, I still remember the first time I had a forum post about me in Burning Crusade from ganking people. It was such a happy feeling.
So
like,
satisfying, yeah.
People are, it's not just mindless ganking. People are remembering me, but it's not just like the server notoriety. It's the interactions you build. Knowing that I've played against this rogue the last 15 damn Warsong Gulches and he ganks me every time. This time I'm going to beat him. Or I always body this paladin outside of Ironforge. I need to make sure I never lose them. I got to keep that going. Like these individual rivalries you build. Like this guy's always in my farming spot in Eastern Plagues Lands. I gank him every time he's there, but he still comes back, and then he ganks me sometimes to bring friends. Like these rivalries you build just with individuals, not just the notoriety built on your server. It can only be done in an atmosphere where you can build a name for yourself, even if it's just between 1 to 2 people, not the whole server.
Yeah, I mean, it also goes to defenders of lobby zones, right? I just remember some girl named Penny something. She was a human female mage, and she would guard Red Ridge. She would spend hours just sitting there waiting, and if a horde came in, she would protect the lobies, and that kind of stuff is so cool. Just feels so real. She's a hero to those lobies, those new players, and it's just such a cool thing.
Dude, I remember just like leveling up, and then every once in a while somebody would just /1 any alliance around, like any high level alliance ganking sort of thing. Just there were those defenders that would show up in Stranglethorn Vale. We all know. And that's a podcast episode in and of itself.
Yeah.
Freaking Stranglethorn.
This is episode 1.
Yeah,
we're gonna go deep on some of those topics.
Dude, it's episode 1. We already have episode 5 figured out. But yeah, man, I loved seeing that sort of thing. And I became that guy every once in a while too, because with Classic, it means you have to walk pretty much everywhere on foot. You have to experience the entire world if you want to get anywhere in the game, because there's so many things that will pull you into all corners of the map. And that means that you interact with people of all levels and going through all of these struggles. And it's so fun being able to be that person and then see that person in game. It's so dope, dude. Oh, I'm so pumped right now.
Here's a little side story. This came from, I don't remember which private server it was. It was either Elysium, Nost, I'm not sure. I think it might have been Nost. There was a guild, I'm probably getting details wrong, I'm going to get destroyed in the comics, but they were a Chinese guild, I'm not sure, but they had the Devil Star farm on lock. Their entire guild would control the Devil Star population because the Devil Star armor, the 2 other pieces you can get are best in slot for rogues, hunters, warriors, any physical DPS class.
Devil Star Mafia.
Yeah, Devil Sword Mafia, exactly. There was a guild that controlled it so much that no one ever got any Devil Star, that they were called the Devil Star Mafia, and eventually the other guilds on the server rallied together to camp them, and eventually Unguro Crater turned into this big non-stop war zone over the Devil Star. When can you have that in any other game? There's probably a few, obviously, but in retail WoW now,
absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. That's super cool. That is a fantastic story.
Just things like that, man.
Yeah.
Things like that are just so only possible in this game.
It's going to continue to evolve. That was an experience with a finite number of people on a private server. This is a game that's going to be hosted on Battle.net. This is Blizzard supported. Can you imagine what sort of mafias or gangs or any groups that look to control resources? Can you imagine just how that's going to develop in current Classic WoW? Like, there's going to be new, different styles of these mafias popping up everywhere, and it's only possible because, dude, I can't even begin to imagine what we're going to see.
I mean, imagine you specifically, Kala. You've got your stream; it's fairly popular. I'm sure you're going to be streaming Classic WoW. What happens when people on your server, other faction, start stream sniping you? Then your viewers start jumping in and backing you up. They're following you around, questing everywhere, defending you, and then the stream snipers are going to get more of their buddies in. And eventually, just imagine big streamers just having their viewers around them, protecting them, because if you're on their server, you can track them down and kill them. There's no zone, there's no phasing, there's nothing. Once you see where they are on that stream, you can go kill them, and you never know what kind of things are going to build with that.
I guess I hadn't really thought about it, but we never really lived in a world where Classic WoW coexisted with Twitch and live streamers.
Yeah.
So it'll be
think
dynamic kind of
it's going to be awesome.
develop.
It's going to be
Hell,
super
even
interesting.
YouTube.
Yeah, even YouTube
really existed.
Like, it was just like PvP videos with like
That wasn't YouTube though.
corn soundtrack on it.
Like Leroy Jenkins, that's per YouTube. All those videos.
Warcraft movies, baby.
Oh shit, you're right.
That was my favorite website. I lived on Warcraft movies. That was my YouTube, man. Yeah.
Did you ever see that Warcraft movie series, Tales of the Past? I watched that like 300 times at school. I used to live on that. Yeah, it was like it was one of the original best machinimas. This is really derailing us right now. There's so much to talk about Classic, but yeah, Warcraft movies is awesome. I love that website.
So there was a question in chat, and I'm going to answer it for you guys right now. It was a poll among the panelists, PvE or PvP. We're all going to say PvP when it comes down to it for our server, correct?
Yeah. PvE isn't that bad.
No.
I've leveled on a few times in private servers, but there's no experience like the frustration of Stranglethorn Vale.
It's a completely different element of the game that is you'll hate and you'll love throughout, pretty much. It just adds a different element, a different depth to the world, I think. So PvP ranking system, that's something that was introduced at 1.12, 1.12.1 maybe, is when they added honor points, or was it earlier than that? It's hard to...
I don't remember when
this
it
was
came
like
out.
a million years ago, right? So
The honor system?
yeah.
Well before 1.12, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, long before
Yeah, yeah.
1.1 too.
Okay, yeah.
I thought he said
Again,
1.2.
No,
Oh, okay,
it's
sorry.
been a million years.
It was
so-
fairly early because my mage was still like 30 and stuff. Like I remember when it came out and I was PvPing in 1,000 Needles or something. So it was fairly early.
Yeah, it was very early.
Yeah.
It was before Battlegrounds.
So
Yeah.
do you guys, the South Shore, Terran Mill, battles before BGs, all of that. Would you be interested in them rolling it out in a similar fashion, rolling out like honor halfway through, like when the average player is say level 30, they introduce honor points, or should it be baseline when the game
Should be
comes out?
baseline.
And battlegrounds, should they be available to be able to smurf on at level 9, 19, whatever, so that you can run those things to kind of... I don't remember if you earned experience in BGs back then. I don't think you
No,
did.
you did not.
You didn't.
Right,
You
yeah.
didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which
is why you
I
could,
how
like-
it should be in 1.12.
What were you saying there, March?
I was just saying there was an experience in BGs. That's why you could like have like a level 19 or 29 tune and like not to toggle experience off. They just stay that level if you
I
only
definitely-
did BGs.
Definitely
Had a
had a
couple-
twink or two in my day. Yeah, I'm not
who
sure
didn't,
if that's
who
the term
didn't,
for it
man?
anymore.
No, it's
but
twink. Well, maybe not anymore.
yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't say it. You guys did. But...
But as far as battlegrounds are concerned, my only thing is I hated when the game turned into everybody just sat in the battle master room and queued up, and then world PvP basically became obsolete because farming battlegrounds was obviously the way to go. I wonder
That's-
if they'll keep it as battle masters, in their local areas, so you actually have to go to Arathi Highlands in order to queue up for Arathi Basin and
Wow, I
Duro.
forgot
I doubt it.
Yeah, like
I doubt it.
You don't
No,
think so?
it'll be exactly how it was in 1.12. They said that
Yeah.
their specific phrasing was something along the lines of, "This was when the game was in its most complete state, so that's the patch we want to roll out." So I am going to assume they will be there.
They did say it was going to be a framework. So they
Hmm.
said 1.121 was going to be the framework for which the game was released. on.
Right.
So
Right.
technically speaking, they could deviate a little bit from there. But yeah, I don't know.
But
What
I
do you
don't
guys
think
like, what would you
I don't
prefer?
think they would get rid of that. I think with Blizzard, in their perspective, is BGs are supposed to be kind of a lower commitment kind of event. You'd log in, you queue up for a BG, and you play. Having to travel to Arathi or anywhere to just queue up for Warsong, whatever, that's not really accessible, because trying to get to Ashenvale from Stormwind, that's a hike, boy. And, nobody's going to want to have to do that. So,
No, I agree.
Fair enough.
I think it's fine, and that's not going to tear people from world PvPing. South Shore versus Tarn Mill is still always going to be a thing. Camping people that are running the Molten Core and Blackwing Lair is still going to be a thing, whether those Q Masters are there or not. I mean,
and
Good
honestly,
point.
you're talking about like world PvP being less prominent back then. I think streamers and the like will be the ones to drive a lot of world PvP events. Like, rally your troops on the Alliance side of this server on a Saturday night, meet in Terran Mill or whatever, and just go at it. That would just be such a fun thing to partake in, but also to view on Twitch, I think. So that's what I'm looking forward to, because I think the power of our current media is going to really empower world PvP in a way that we didn't have back then, which is huge.
Absolutely.
every fresh server that launches, last one was Chronos 3. I was Horde, and then people in Barons were like, we got attacked by a bunch of low-level Alliance shortly after launch, and then people in Barons were screaming, we're rushing Red Ridge, and then like a big, like 3 to 4 40-man raids of level 15s and 20s went to Red Ridge. And that's going to be stuff you're going to see happening all the
So
time
fun.
at Classic Launch, and
Yeah.
just silly stuff like that.
My God,
Okay,
I'm so hyped for that.
Just
Holy.
real quick, in current WoW, that would be considered a giant waste of time. Why was
Right.
that not a waste of time in Classic? Like, why did we find that stuff so fun? Why was it not a waste of time?
That's just the experience of the game, man.
The identity of the
There's-
game is different, right?
Yeah.
Why do
the
you not
hell?
care about walking with, all the way across Elwyn Forest with no mount, no flight point to take, because you don't expect anything different back then, right? You didn't. That's just how it was. I mean, I made my first character on a private server recently. I got to level 20, nothing crazy, right? I had never played in a private server just because, frankly, I never really thought to, didn't really have the time to sink into as much as I wanted to. And dude, it's relaxing, it's tranquil, it's amazing. Just there's something about it. I couldn't tell you the reason. Really couldn't.
You remember what I told you when I was with you while you were playing a little bit, and I'm like, dude, I've seen you play this for 8 hours so far, and you've gained 4 or 3 levels, and you're in between 10 and 20 because you're just experiencing the game. You're traveling around, you're looking for little items here and there. You're just like unlocking the map a little bit. I remember one time I looked over and you're like, watch this dude, it's gonna get farmed by this level 19 dust devil, and he walks over, just gets bodied in the middle of the dude,
I was just watching a guy that wasn't, because back in Westfall are these elementals that they're like wind elementals, and they're like 6 or 7 levels higher than all the other mobs in the area, and they pad through and they just roll over the hills. And this guy was just running through, not paying attention. I was just showing him like, this guy's gonna run right by this thing, is gonna own him, and sure enough, it happened. It's hilarious. It's just something about that game. It's just it's more challenging, it's more satisfying. But let's continue on. PvP ranking system, you want the I assume everyone still wants to see the original system where there's
No. Absolutely not. It is the single worst thing in Classic.
Wait, really? Interesting. What do you want?
I mean, I think everyone who PvPs agrees that it's a flawed system. It does not reward skill, it rewards time.
Yeah.
And the only way to get Grand Marshal is infinite amount of time. You have to literally
Grand
commit
Marshal?
to.
Dude, I held Grand
rank
Marshal
14.
for, I don't know, like 3 weeks or something. I got so many death threats as like, I don't know.
You literally have to just sit in BGs for hours. And there's ways to game the system. On private servers, they do a thing called honor stacking, where everyone gets to the same amount of honor points, and that way everyone who's tied at first gets the same amount of boost percentage or something like that. And then every week you lose, I think it's 10% of the honor you had last week. So if you take any days off, suddenly you're dropping ranks and ranks and ranks. If you look into the honor system for more than 10 minutes, it is not a good system at all.
But
that's
part of fun, though, isn't it?
That's not part of the fun. It's not about skill. It's not about anything but time invested. It is literally just
Classic WoW, though.
Dude, I just sat in the 48-hour Alterac Valleys, just playing and playing.
Hold on a second. Okay. But then this is a huge topic of conversation, because while the system was super broken, I think everyone can agree with that, and it was very jank, and dishonorable kills as well thrown into there was kind of threw the whole system off. But all of it, it wasn't that great, but it was still what we had, and I still kind of enjoyed it. To me, like, even though there was no skill required, all you had to do was grind and find the right group. I'm sure there's multiple instances of even win trading in order to
absolutely
get the most amount of honor.
Yeah,
but,
there was.
Yeah, like so many instances, I'm sure. But part of that was the reason why I loved it so much. It being a crappy
back
broken
then,
system.
It makes sense. But in a day and age today where people do number crunching and can get these add-ons that are calculating the exact amount of honor things, the top level of play is going to be controlled by people who could commit more than 40 hours a week to it, and who are essentially gaming the system. They're going by the rules based in Classic WoW, so they're not breaking any rules and stuff. They're going off the system. But if you just look at the system on paper, it is flawed beyond repair. This is the only thing in Classic WoW that I lean towards changing. It is just so... Everything else I lean on the side of no changes, no changes, no changes. And if I had to choose anything, I would choose no changes, even to this. But this is the one system in the game that I look at and go, this is not good.
And Blizzard hasn't said anything in regards to this?
No, we might hopefully get something at BlizzCon, but...
It's really interesting that you mentioned that. I personally would be fine with it released in the state that it was,
I would too. I'm not going to complain if that happens. But if I were to choose one thing I want to change specifically, it is this, because it is just not...
okay.
Sorry, not a good system.
To the way that you said it much differently.
I get fired up really quickly, so that was probably my fault.
Oh no, I'm in actually the same.
That's why we love you, Zoya, dude. You're going from 0 to 100.
I 100% want no changes at all in Classic WoW. Let me just say that now. I am on the side of if you're open to them changing one thing, you need to be open to them to changing everything. So if that's the mindset I'm going to take, I'm going to be on the side of they change absolutely nothing, please. But if there was one thing I had to pick out of everything we're going to discuss today that they should change, it would be the honor system, just to make it less dumb.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm 100% in that boat too.
Nah, I want a no-life Grand Marshal. I want to stream that like 18 hours a day.
Yeah, and then what happens when you're gone for 10 days for BlizzCon and you drop 3 ranks?
Doesn't matter. I just need to hit it and hold it as long as I can. That's all that matters.
Yeah, what do you think about the titles not being retained? That was the one interesting thing to me. You know, you'd hit rank 14, whatever, you'd get High
Yeah.
Warlord, you have the staff.
Yeah,
but
you
then
should totally retain your title.
Yeah, all of a
I
sudden
never
somebody
understood
looks
that.
at you and they're like Sergeant, but you have the High Warlord staff. That's always weird to me.
Yeah.
Well, another problem with you retaining the title is once you have the title, you stop grinding for it. So eventually, on a server that's been out long enough, because the way it works is it's based off the rankings for everyone that's played that week.
Yeah.
So eventually, the people who are rank 1 that got the rank 14 first, they're going to stop playing. They're going to dip down the rank 6, and that's one less person they're competing against. And eventually, after like 2 years, if you retain the title, you'll be running around Ironforge, and there'll be like 30, Grand Marshals, High Warlords everywhere.
But only if they put in that incredible amount of time, like you mentioned. Like even if you retained your title, I think you would still see a small amount of players hitting that amount because you actually have to grind the living hell out of the game in order to get.
Oh
enough
yeah,
honor
it
to
is an
push those
absurd
numbers.
grind. It just makes it a little less valuable to me
That's
when
true.
you're seeing. Again, this wouldn't happen over a short period of time. Let's just say. We'll talk about server cycles later, but let's just say the first server you roll on, it's been out 2.5, 3 years. How many people in that 2.5, 3 years hit rank 14? And would they all still be running around with that rank 14 title?
Right.
So that just diminishes it a little bit in my mind. But
You're right.
it is something that I look at going into Classic WoW. There's no way I will ever get rank 14. There's a 0% chance I will ever put in that much of time to only battlegrounding. Like I would have to have like. I think I saw a post that if you grind nonstop, you're the rank 1 on your faction the entire time. It takes you 12 weeks to get rank 14. Of nonstop, you're the best on the server. 12 weeks.
So
That's what I
doable.
gotta do, eh?
Reasonable.
No, I'm in. Dude, I mean, my job is streaming and.
I mean,
Oh, yeah,
yes,
no.
exactly. As a streamer,
You guys are
in.
streamers. You guys, and that's
Right
how
up my alley.
it should be that competitive. But
Yeah.
What is that classic emo? I like that.
and there's always the argument for arenas in Classic WoW too, which is always a fun discussion.
Okay, let's keep moving on. Talking about talent respec, dual spec, and the likes of that. I mean, even just the cost of respecing. What was it back in the day?
50 at cap.
It was 10 silver for the first one, 1 gold, 5 gold, 10 gold. I think it went up by 5 all the way to 50 after that.
You guess
So
that
there's
tweak
two
that at all?
sides to this. There's two sides to
respecting
this.
is more pricey. For sure.
If depending on your class, I'm going to be a warrior main when Classic WoW goes out. So there's 3 main specs you'll be playing: Prot, which you'll be doing for dungeons. I hopefully will be Fury and Rage, which means I'll be DPS with that, and then Arms for PvP. Be able to respec that many times as Arms is going to be so much infinite gold it'll be horribly impossible to maintain.
You should basically have a second character at that point.
yeah.
Essentially, yes. But there is also something now. I don't know how much I agree with this argument. There's also the argument that it's not just class identity, because in Classic WoW, it's such a time sink to one character. You are really, your identity is that one character. There's also the argument for spec identity. When respecs are so much, when you see this guy in Ironforge, when you see him invited to raid, you're like, this guy's a prot warrior. This guy's an arcane mage. He's the only arcane mage on the server running around pyroing nerds. You got this guy. He's the weird BM hunter. This guy's, the assassination rogue. Like you have your identities, not just your class. It can also be your spec. So
That's
Yeah, and kind
100%
of ties
the
in
boat
with
I'm in.
what Paula was saying too.
Yeah. Because I want to identify as a Marks Hunter, right? Yes, I'm a Huntard. Deal with it. But, I want to identify as a Marks Hunter. And I hate how willy-nilly you can just change specs and stuff nowadays and how figured out everything is, because it really did feel like there was way more character per player. And sure, things were min-maxed. Everybody had the same talent tree, or give or take a few talents, maybe moving points into stamp, whatever. But how do you guys feel, March and Kala?
I definitely say no to dual spec, by the way.
So,
no
yeah.
dual spec, absolutely not.
Yeah,
Dual
I
spec would ruin the game, straight up.
That's where I land on that too. Definitely no to dual specking.
Yeah, dual spec would ruin the game. I think you keep respec costs high like that. Maybe increase the rate at which it diminishes. So if it's 50 gold, maybe it goes down by 5 gold per week if you don't respec. Something like that.
That's a cool fix.
a little bit of a fix onto it, but if they were going to do anything, but in general, I want it to cost a lot because that also helps the economy. It means that these players, if they want to grind that hard, you want to identify as an arms warrior in PvP, a fury warrior in raids, and a prot warrior in 5-man groups, then you have to get out there and you have to farm the crap out of nodes. You have to, max out your trade skills because you need to generate a lot of income. And I think that is super healthy for the game. And yeah, I just don't like I'm a druid, I'm also a tank, I'm also a healer, I'm also the best range DPS, I'm also a feral druid, haha. Like, I think that's so stupid. I love classic because you have just that single identity. I was a shadow priest, but you couldn't inspect talents back then. Nobody knew it. I just rolled into raids and healed anyways, and then kind of off-rolled on damage items. I dropped in that shadow form in Battlegrounds, and nobody knew the difference because I was a shadow priest at heart, but in raids, I played a healer when I had to. And I just think that sort of thing is so fantastic about the game. And yeah, I not only just because of the identity factor, but also just because of fueling the economy. Having to spend that gold to respect is important because 50 gold was a big chunk of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that completely.
God, I love this game. Holy crap.
I think that's a super important topic because everything is about your personal identity in this game. That is all it is. It's just your character and who you are behind it, and things like that matter. And it's important that you bring up the economy thing because there are some absurd hurdles you have to overcome in Classic WoW when it comes to economy and money spending. I mean, just your regular amount at level 40. If you pull off getting your mount at 40, you have done a great job. You have saved a certain amount of money. You must have gotten a BOE blue that you sold while leveling or something, especially for certain classes like melee classes like warriors and rogues, where you need to be going to the auction house and buying weapons.
Yeah, and
your repair bills dying a lot more. I mean,
no,
I think if you're saving an extra 50 gold a week on respecs, that the ripple effects that could cause, you never know.
Yeah, no, it's a really cool part of the game when you think about it, and it's something that a lot of people just take for granted nowadays.
It just boils down to like not having everything handed to you. Like, I mean, there definitely are those people that are all about that, the casual player base, but it feels
also
more rewarding to like,
every
make these decisions, you know?
Yeah, every decision has to be deliberate, right? There's nothing that you just go, whatever, I'm gonna do this. You're like,
exactly.
Well, do I want that talent? Maybe, if you mess up, like, that's a problem. You really got to think about every single action you make because it's costly. Making a mistake in that game, you're going to live with it, and then you're going to have to pay to fix it in those kind of situations. And it just feels like that's true for combat and economy, right? You don't just pull a mob. You don't just send your pet in as a hunter because it's going to aggro 4 other murlocs and you are dead.
Right.
Like,
which in like retail WoW, that's a very real scenario where you just throw your pet in there and tank 10 mobs and you're fine. You can literally just look away from the screen.
I recently watched one of the other Classic WoW podcasts where they did an interview with Mark Kern, who was one of the senior designers on Classic WoW back in the day, and he said that the game was designed to, if you are fighting 2 mobs at once, you live with just barely any HP left. So if you're chain pulling,
like a really intense.
Yeah, it's really tense. You're having to min-max your rotation. You may go in, you might need to pop a pot. So if you're chain pulling, you're not at 100% health, you're not 100% mana, and you do get that extra mob. So anything is more difficult. So it was designed in that sense that.
What a wild deviation, eh?
Right. Yeah. How did we come so far from that? Like,
I think it comes with the general. I mean, this is just like kind of looking at the timeline from classic to retail. It also comes with the character. Now we're champions in BFA. We're on the same tier almost as someone like Jaina Proudmoore. At level 60, the first time you see her, you're like, holy shit, that's Jaina. And, if her character was somehow real, she would like not even think anything of you. You've growth from classic to BFA. If you look at it from that sense where you can barely solo 2 mobs, so now in BFA you're soloing 50 mobs, while questing, gonna go PvP 3 hordes at the same time, power scaling wise, I guess that makes sense, but it's led to a not so fun game experience. I don't know if that's a decision making they made behind it, but
I'd be very confused if that was the reasoning behind it. But
I mean, everything about BFA is confusing. So
yeah.
Fair. We're not talking about BFA. We're talking about Classic. So, okay, we talked about talents, respeccing, and just kind of all of that. What about looking for group, looking for raid? Naturally, that's a big part of WoW nowadays, but...
Meeting stones? Summoning stones?
Kala?
Dude, if looking for group or looking for raid comes into Classic WoW, I will literally not play it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I would be
I'm
Well
on
said.
board with
so
that.
Well said.
angry. I would not play the game. I would 100% boycott it. It is the worst system possible. You guys have already heard me talk a whole bunch of... Oh, I'm so passionate about this one, dude. About the social aspects of WoW. It just completely neuters it if you have some sort of looking for group tool. Part of the fun was trying to find a group for a dungeon and spending 45 minutes doing so. Finding, a rogue to join your group or a mage to join your group as well. But not being able to find a healer, you spend 15 minutes and then you finally get that healer, and you add that guy to your friends list, because maybe when he comes online again, he's down to run another dungeon, you could throw him back into the group, because that's you're building this little social network around yourself. Sometimes that even ends up putting you into a new guild and you're meeting new friends, and sometimes you even meet new people and you travel to Thailand with them because they're such good friends with you in World of Warcraft. Like, stuff like that. I mean, it starts with group finding.
I
Yeah.
still have old school friends that I still talk to this day from early WoW experiences from exactly that. This guy's a
Same.
dank paladin. Dude, friends, let's go.
Same. One of my best friends in the world that I met that way. He's a really good Shadow Priest. Still talk to him to this day.
Well,
Spent 3 months in Thailand with my old arena partner. And it was only possible pre...
Like, if I wanted to just
Group.
jump into a queue with a bunch of randos, I'd go play HOTS. Straight up.
fact. Well, that's
There's
Smile and
also
clap.
this is also one of those things that, I mean, over time we've seen the slow diminish of world PvP in the game, and this would be one of those things that would do it. Why would you go to a dungeon and risk getting ganked outside of it if you can just queue from Ironforge and get
True.
teleported there? And then what about the class identity of mages and warlocks? Some of the benefit of bringing one of those classes is the warlock summons you to the dungeon. You get to be a little lazy. The mage can port you to Darnassus, and then you get the quicker flight. There's so much that can be affected by this.
God, can we just talk about the extreme number of consumables for everything? Like, I don't have any summoning stones in my bag right now. I'm out of summons.
Yeah.
Like, that's a thing that the
Or
it's like,
managing
sorry guys, I'm
backspace
out.
in general.
Like,
I have played every class at 60 in vanilla except for warlock, because screw soul shards. I will never ever want to do that. I don't care about the free 40 amount. I don't care how good they are in PvP and PvE. I don't care. I'm not doing soul shards. It's the worst.
I love it.
I witnessed that madness through my older brother, who is a lock main, and he would complain about soul shards all the time. Made me not have any interest in playing that class whatsoever back then.
And man, not having a group finder tool too, like, it takes the game from being this big to being absolute, like, it turns the game into a tiny little box when you just queue everything from a major city. And that was part of the beauty of the game, was just how huge the map was. I remember the first zone I ever got into, and I was comparing it again, drawing back to SWG. I was like, okay, I'm in this area. Oh, there's probably like 4 or 5 of these areas in this game. And then I was like, wait a second, there's like 13, 15, 20, there's 2 continents filled with zones this big. Like, that blew my damn mind. And it's not like they become irrelevant when you hit level 60 too. There's something relevant in pretty much each one of those zones for you.
Oh, you're going to Winter Spring,
level.
you're going down to Tenaris at like 40 something. Like, you're all over the place.
Well, look at all the places, all the zones that have world bosses too. You got the 4 dragons, you got Azure Ghost up in Ashara, you got the demon Kazakh down in Blasted Lands. Like, there's every zone. I mean, you go to Tenaris for Noggin Fogger. Plus, I think that was the first neutral auction house in the game.
Wasn't there one in Duskwood too?
Yeah.
Yes, there was one of the 4 drakes was in Duskwood.
Yeah.
Then you have a Silithus. When you go there for the AQ event, there's plenty of PvP happening there. You got to farm the cloth sets, to summon the elites, to get the shards, to summon more elites. Every zone has something, and one of the first major down steps to Killing World events like that was the introduction of flying mounts in Burning Crusade, when you can just fly past everything, land where you want to do, and go elsewhere. At first those seemed really cool, but no flying mounts in Classic WoW means whenever you land that flight path, you got to run all the way to wherever your destination is, and if there's any Horde or Alliance in your path, you're probably getting into a fight. And that was so much of the life of the game. That
Speaking of which, this is kind of like deviating a bit, but talking about Horde versus Alliance and like there's gonna be a fight. There was no you couldn't have both factions on the same server back then.
Correct.
And that was one of my favorite parts about the game.
It has to stay that way.
Well, that wasn't on the
has to
no
stay that way.
changes versus changes list, but we can add it right now, and I am with you 100%.
I think because
Only
like
play
honestly,
one faction.
I still vividly remember when they did add that and how sad I was because I'm like, it just doesn't feel like you don't feel like you're committed to one faction, at least on the server, right?
So just the whole communication, chatting, burr for LOL or keck for LOL, between the races, but also early, I don't know, very early on, you could talk to the Horde. This was they probably patched it out around like level 30 for the average player that was grinding. You could talk in lead. So you could speak in lead speak to the Horde and it would go through if you just use all numbers.
And then eventually people were figuring out like weird letter combinations that would spell out LOL to the Horde or
just 101. Just,
OIO,
OIO. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking about the translations. Yeah,
it would translate into LOL, just things like that.
So
I just remember a little gnome telling me he loves me long time.
Dude, that sort of stuff was so fun because you had
good.
zero interactions with the Alliance unless you did something like that. And that sort of stuff was just so interesting. Yeah, not being able to make a character and just go over and like, shit talk somebody. Like, I loved that because you just had to prove your worth instead of just having it arbitrary or just get so tilted that you go over and just try to message them. And if you really wanted to, go and talk to an Alliance player, you literally had to either use somebody else's account that had Alliance on the same server or no character on the same server or get another account. And I'm sure there are as many people that have bought accounts and subscribed to World of Warcraft just to go and send some chirps at somebody else. That's so funny to me, dude.
Oh. All right. So one of the other things we have here on the list of changes versus no changes is back in the day, Paladins for the Alliance, Shaman for the Horde. You can argue that Shaman have an advantage with Bloodlust being a super powerful ability for burning through a boss.
Nope, wrong, incorrect, false. Shamans didn't have Bloodlust in vanilla. That it came out.
Okay, is that BC? Okay.
Wind Fury Totem. Wind Fury Totem was
My bad.
literal god.
Either way, PvE wise, Paladins have the advantage. They're great healers. They've got lay on hands. Their buffs are ridiculous. Might, wisdom, salvation. Like salvation alone, I think early on, and I don't know if because I didn't get too big in the rating Horde wise on private servers recently, and my Horde rating was back in, so it might be a bit rusty. But Alliance has an advantage early on for multiple reasons, not just because of Dwarf Priest, which is kind of a crutch anyway. Human priests are better because of spirit, but because Alliance gets salvation. Early on in raids, Warlocks pull aggro too much. Without salvation, you see a lot less of PvEing Warlocks on the Horde side because of that. I don't know if that balances out later on, but salvation is a threat reduction. Allows you to just go ham right from the start, so.
Does Warlock have no threat reduction abilities? I never played a Lock in vanilla.
Don't think so. They have a threat gaining ability.
Great.
No, I don't think they do have a threat reduction ability. I never played Warlock, but I was very aware that Alliance definitely take the advantage when it comes to PvE. And I'm pretty sure, actually, maybe not PvE.
Feels good, man.
Purge is like unbeatable, man. Purge is so stupid.
It's a tough call between. Go ahead, March.
Oh, sorry. You guys mentioned Warlock, and I started thinking about remember like these super difficult like class quests. Like for example, Warlock had to go through this insane class quest to get their Dreadsteed. That was just
that
like
stuff was so fun.
The most grueling experience ever, but it was like so rewarding because like only like very few Warlocks actually had like that cool ass mount because it was just so hard to get. Like now you literally just buy it from your or you just get it at a certain level.
Dreadsteed,
Pally mount too,
Rockdalar for hunters. There was a lot of cool class.
Benediction for priests.
So many class quests.
Benediction and Nemetha or whatever.
I had Anathema on my priest.
Yeah.
God, that was a cool item.
So cool. So fun.
So real side tangent here. On our Roll Need show, our friend Soap on the show.
That's
I
our
convinced
D&D
him to
podcast.
Yeah, our D&D podcast. It takes place in Classic WoW. If you're a Classic WoW fan, go watch that show. He was trying to figure out what class he wanted to play in Classic WoW, and I convinced him to play a priest because all I said was, what is the class that you want to be at decked out in full tier 2 and AFK and Ironforge on? And he said he picked priest because he immediately thought of Benediction and Nemetha. So That staff is pretty badass.
It is.
It
It's
is.
cool.
Yeah, it's very
And
cool.
Priest Tier 2 is pretty cool too.
It's like the OG transmog, you know? Hey,
Yeah.
I want benediction right now. Oh no, just kidding. I want anathema. So you switch it over. Yeah.
The OG transmog.
It is. It's a hella OG transmog.
But double backing to the PvP conversation, I'm not sure which faction is honestly more broken. You see less warlocks on Alliance for PvP because of Undead. Will of the Forsaken is insane, so you
Yeah.
rarely see, even despite no warlocks being very good. If you're going to PvP, I think more people lean to hordes, but Alliance has huge advantages. Stone Skin on Dwarf Priests make them very good counters to Rogue. Shadow Priests are already probably
They're
the best
so hard to
PvP
deal with.
class. But you get that Dwarf Priest, you get the Fear Ward plus the Stone Skin. Humans get Perception, which means you win that stealth duel.
There's
orcs, man.
Orcs are great too. It's such a hard talk. I think
Stun
Horde has a
resist.
slight advantage there.
I think between shamans and orcs, Horde have a pretty big advantage because, like, on the Alliance side, my biggest thing is Blessing of Freedom and warriors, because warriors and paladins are just they're gods in PvP, right? Especially fully decked warrior. But then you actually have purge, you have wind fury totems, you have grounding totems. Grounding totems is so disgusting. You have tremor totems. You like, I guess just shaman in general are so powerful in PvP.
They were so good.
And they're super hard to kill as well. You have cleanses for pretty much everything, and then the stun resist on orcs and Will of the Forsaken for rogues. I think everyone says that Alliance beat out in both PvE and PvP, but I'm gonna prove them wrong, man. Like I swear, because I think that on paper Horde should be able to absolutely dominate.
It's gonna be interesting to see like what is still the same too with the racials, because you think about Night Elf in particular back in the day. Hunter Night Elf was fantastic for PvP because for multiple reasons, right? Shadow Meld was a way to get out of combat. You cannot use there's that Shadow Meld aim shot, which is you're channeling the aim shot and then huge damage, but also you need to disengage from combat via Shadow Meld or Feign Death to drop a trap. Traps cannot be used in combat in that game. So in PvP, you want to drop your freezing trap, you need to find a way to do that. And sometimes Shadow Meld was the tool for doing that. So that may or may not be a thing. Eventually, they did remove the Shadow Meld aim shot. It still worked with traps, if I remember correctly. But yeah, no, it's going to be so fun to see. Just picking your race means a lot based on what you want to do, based on what class you want to play. Obviously dwarves have benefits too if you're playing Alliance for Hunter. They don't have Shadow Meld, but they've got the dwarf skin. They've got the plus proficiency with guns, which is 5 additional skills.
Weapon skill matters a lot.
It does, yeah.
It's a huge DPS increase, so you will be prioritizing guns as a dwarf hunter. There's a lot of things like that, and the cool thing about it is, I'm sure at the most obnoxious top 0.01%, it matters. But no one's ever going to go, oh, you went human over gnome mage? We're not inviting you to our pre-made.
Right.
It matters. And if you are going to be a PvPer and you go, let's say, orc warlock over undead warlock, you might look that like you're silly, but it ain't the end all break all,
Mm-hmm.
So...
And orc warlocks were actually so damn strong with gear in PvP. Holy cow!
Stun resist is dumb.
They're so hard to kill, dude.
And doesn't orcs still get stun resist to this day? Like,
yeah, they do.
Not like that though. I'm pretty sure, wasn't it? It was either 20 or 25% stun resist, wasn't it?
Yeah, like it's like 1 out of every 4 kidneys is gonna miss.
So
and back then,
insane,
like
dude.
kidneys, like a 2-minute cooldown or something dumb like that. It's a long cooldown. So if you get your kidney shot or dude, I hated my Night Elf rogue because of orcs. Anytime you'd go to cheap shot, resist. Kidney shot, resist.
Bodied. I love it, dude.
It's
It's hard for me to pick between undead. Like, undead, obviously way edgier, so I want to go undead.
Right,
And Will
you
of
kind of have
Forsaken's
to.
hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and
it's-
Cannibalize has so much utility, especially one-on-one fights or 1v2 fights.
So good, dude.
Yeah.
It's a-
Blind cannibalize.
So
Stuff like that.
I'm gonna hop in here and cut everyone off because we are giving away our first BlizzCon virtual ticket, guys. We're gonna put a timer up. Give me a second here. I'm gonna put it on a 2-minute timer. We'll do 3. We'll do 3. So here we go. Giveaway starting now. Should have posted a message in the chat. My first time using this program. There we go.
What is the
No?
the requirements to enter the giveaway? They just got to
It's
type in
supposed to
chat.
post it in the chat. Maybe it didn't work.
I'm not
Type
seeing
type
anything.
exclamation raffle. So let's see if that works. Let's see if I get an entry here. But so just kind of continuing on the discussion, Paladin Shamans, they should stay faction specific, right?
Oh, of course.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. My only thing that I would like to see changed is why did, and I never understood why, and maybe somebody could, like, a lot of stuff about Classic I understand, but this I never did. Why the hell does Shaman gear drop for Alliance, and why does Paladin gear drop for Horde?
Oh, that's just dumb.
Oversized.
That should get changed, right? I feel like that should get changed.
That should be one of the few changes that they make if they make.
Because it literally makes no sense, right? It's just for disenchanting.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I guess so. But in regards to if there should be pallies for Horde and Shaman, it's like, how would they even implement that hypothetically? They would just have to add Blood Elves and Draenei.
Yeah, this is
And
like,
that's, you know,
this is something I wanted to bring up either after the end of this discussion or, well, I guess we are doing at the end of this discussion when we go into new content. Is I'll just save it for then, actually.
Okay.
So shut up, Zoya, idiot.
we got people joining the giveaway here.
Yeah, join the giveaway, guys,
So,
for that virtual
yeah,
ticket.
it wasn't working, and it's weird because I tested it earlier and it did work. So I'm just remaking the giveaway. It should post a message in chat, which is why I was confused. Big shout out to Blizzard for hooking us up with 3 codes. We're giving away one now,
Hell
two at the end of the show, which is just super ridiculously awesome.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Blizzard, we love you.
thank Mr. Blizzard.
Thank you.
Blizzard.
Type thank Mr. Blizzard for a
There we
year
go. I
of-
posted the
Okay,
message.
everyone type exclamation point raffle now, guys.
Raffle. Everybody raffle out of your minds right now.
Yeah, and after you raffle, tell us what class and race combo you're playing in Classic WoW demo.
Yeah,
if you win.
that's actually super interesting. I'm curious what everyone wants to play. Okay, cool. It's working. You have a minute and a half left to continue to get your entry in. And with exclamation raffle in Twitch chat, we'll pick a single winner now, 2 more later in the show. Paladins, Shamans, they're going to stay in the same side. I don't think Blizzard would mess with that. It's just part of the flavor, the feel of the game. It's such a huge part of what
it would
is.
take a lot of work on their end, because not only would they have to create animations and spells for the race or the faction, excuse me, the race that will be playing that. So let's just say they make Dwarf Shamans. They would have to make Dwarf Shaman animations. They would have to make Dwarf Shaman quest lines. Like it wouldn't just be a simple plug and play. They would have to commit a lot, and we're not sure how much they're willing to commit to that kind of overhaul for Classic yet.
I want the separation, man. I want
the separation.
Hey, this is Horde, this is Alliance. I never want to have a Paladin on my squad. I just don't want one. I love the fact that they are my enemies and that I will never get buffs. I will never get blessings. It doesn't seem Horde-esque. And on the other side, these bloodthirsty, totem-wielding, like gnarly, transformative creatures don't exist for Alliance, and it shouldn't exist for Alliance.
Yeah.
And I think that's so fantastic having that separation.
Even in BC, when they added the Draenei Shaman, he was like outcast, right? He was like in Stormwind, down by the water, like not welcome in the city because it's kind of taboo within the Alliance, right? So, okay, 2 seconds and the timer is done. So, picking a winner.
It picked a lot of. Wait.
The Bueno. No, I didn't pick any winners. I was giving tickets out. So it's the Bueno.
Right,
you are the winner.
Can we get it to stop giving out tickets? Streamlabs, enough.
I didn't tell it to do that, but
Congrats, Bueno.
yeah. Let's see if this is does this work? No, you're not seeing the right screen.
So the only reason I sit on the side of no, keep them faction specific. But the only reason I entertain the idea, and we're about to go into it more in one of our next change topics, which is balance decisions, is there are certain areas where they are balanced differently. You can't say they're both equally as powerful. Like one of them has to be better than the other, and that gives one faction an advantage in certain areas and it doesn't. So it comes down to, do you think that's an issue or not? I do not. I just want to get that devil's advocate out there, though, that there is that, what if Paladins just are super broken in during this tier of content and Hordes struggle because Shamans aren't, or the vice versa? You know,
I love that.
I love it too. I'm just throwing the devil's advocate out there. There is that argument for it.
I think having specific points where there's imbalance is so important. That's part of why Classic was so cool, because it was so rock, paper, scissors-esque. There was no, hey, this is the absolute, this is the absolute best for a specific class, but there was, like, the imbalance created such a cool game. Like, if anybody says that Classic was a balanced game, they've never played it. It was wildly imbalanced. There was very obvious specs that would play better than other specs. There was classes that would outperform in almost every way, Warriors being one of them. I'm looking at you, Zoya. And in PvE and in PvP, the imbalance created such a cool environment. I remember watching an interview with one of the developers who worked on Vanilla WoW, and he said that a bunch of their decisions was specific to having imbalances in the game, because that created the environment that they wanted. And nowadays, it's like, if you play BFA, every class has a 5-second stun. Every class has a blind. Every class has a self-heal. Every class has the ability to tank. You know, like stuff like that is not actually every class, but you know what I mean. It's all just the same thing, and I hate that.
I agree.
It's too forgiving, right? It's too forgiving.
Yeah, essentially just too forgiving. Yeah.
And then it also has the reverse of that. Again, my first Horde 60 was a Druid. I played Feral. And I was bad back then. I didn't use consumable. I didn't know about the helmet that gave you energy on shapeshifting, which is like the main mechanic for Feral Druids right now. I didn't know about that in retail. And I rated to AQ then. And still, when people saw me as a Feral Druid, they went, oh, he's a Feral Druid. Oh, he's actually pretty good too. So when you do have these imbalanced, random specs that most people don't have success on, when you do have success on it, you become an outlier. You become cool because you are that Feral Druid. You are that Shadow Priest. You are that Moonkin, right? So those imbalances lead to cool storyline situations. We're going to go more into the balance debate soon, I assume. But
yeah, we're going to transition to it right now, actually.
Cool.
So,
perfect.
You know, naturally, some specs were more prominent than others. And I love what you're saying right now, because Boomkins, sure, they didn't really exist back then, but it was still a cool thing. And Boomkins had so much pride in their identity. They had like their own forums. I swear to God, like my brother was a Boomkin. And that's a book, by the way. No, it's not. And it's just something that they identified with. They weren't the most useful people in a raid. They weren't. I look at them as a race almost, because of how unique Boomkins really felt to me. Same with Shadow Priest back in vanilla. But is that the end of the world, right? Not everybody has to have the best PvE damage in the world, right? You know, not everyone has to be the best PvP spec. Different things are good at different things. But being a Boomkin, part of it's the fantasy of the world and just living it. And yeah, a lot of us are going to be hardcore PvP guys. We're going to be hardcore raiders. We're going to be min-maxing. But not every player needs that. And Boomkin doesn't have to be that. You want to be a mage? You don't have to be a Boomkin. You can still live that like spellcaster fantasy as a mage or a warlock. Those specs exist. What do you guys think?
Well, first, I want to point out the Moonkin thing you brought up. That reputation followed them for like 3 expansions. I hated Moonkins until like Kata, and it was only because of their reputation in vanilla. They were just, everyone hated Moonkins then. But going to, people talk about the balance issues in vanilla a lot, and I don't think it's much different at all in BFA. Yes, if you want to go for server first, the top kills, you're progressing the top 10 server guilds on your server or something, sure, your comps are going to be min-maxed. Even like good guilds, they're just looking for, first of all, raids are 40 people then. It is hard to get 25 people consistent in a raiding guild today. Imagine 40 consistent people in a vanilla server. They don't care. Average to good guilds don't care of your class or spec. They want someone who shows up there every week with materials and knows the fight.
Bless you.
Moonkins are going to get invited by plenty of guilds. Yes, you're not going to be able to get a Moonkin in the rank 1 guild on your server. But go look at BFA's world first kill of whatever raid just came out. I guarantee you there are specs missing. There are classes missing in that world first raid. Everyone min-maxes to that point to where some classes are just getting cut out. And BFA, people have 2 to 3 mains because they never know if a patch is going to nerf their character, and they just got to be ready to play a different DPS. It is the same in BFA for the top level of play as it is in Classic WoW. Everywhere else in the middle, you can play whatever spec you want, you can play whatever class you want, as long as you show up, you know the fights, you have good gear, and you bring consumables and stuff. You're going to find a guild. For sure.
Really happy you brought this up because I've been paying so much attention to the Classic WoW subreddit ever since Vanilla WoW was basically announced again. And there's this weird idea where people are like, hey, I really want to, I play a feral in BFA. Can I play a feral in Vanilla? And I'm like, of course you can.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you'll get invited to raids. And then there's so many people that are like, no, if you want to play like an energy-based DPS melee, you got to play a rogue because they're it's like, are you kidding me right now? Dude, I was, 13 years old and I cleared Ragnaros with 27 people in some pretty crappy gear. Like, yeah, it was very, very difficult. Or 28 people or something like that, my guild, because we straight up couldn't get 40. Man, you will get invited to every single raid. You might not be able to use Moonfire Insect Swarm because it uses up debuff slots. You might not be able to do that, and that's perfectly fine. You might have to play along with those rules, and maybe you're just rat spamming the whole time. Maybe you have a sticky keyboard and all you do is innervate yourself. But you have to play along with those sort of limitations. But aside from that, you can literally play whatever the hell you want. Aside from tanking. That's pretty much the only one because block stacking.
You have to have prot warriors.
Yeah, exactly. Just because of crushing blows. But aside from that, you can literally do anything you want, and you will get invited to raids. You're right. Yeah. You might not be realm first or world first Kel'Thuzad clear, but damn it, you will be invited to every raid you can possibly imagine.
Yeah,
it's about showing up, being disciplined. It's like a job. As long as you show up and you come prepared and you're ready to work, you've got the job, and that's what raiding is.
There's like a quest chain of Winter Spring that gets you these little buffs. There's Winterfall Firewater. There you can stack like 300 buffs. If you're coming to every raid with your raid materials, your flasks, your potions, and even a class like a Moonkin, which I think most people argue is one of the worst specs.
Yeah.
They have battle res. They have innervate. Okay,
those pros, for sure.
Great things to bring for your raid. The downside with Moonkins is they don't have. Well, A, they go instantly, and B, they don't have a wand. So when a Shadow Priest goes he's wanding, right? He's wanding, and he's keeping up some DPS. Moonkins, what do you do when you're out of mana on a Moonkin? You walk up and you punch it with your big Moonkin fist.
And there's also like other things that classes have that are super important. Shadow Priest, one of them that you just brought up. Shadow Weaving, one of the most important debuffs in the game because it just skyrockets Warlock DPS. Every single top raid is going to have one Shadow Priest, and you might be that guy just for Shadow Weaving and stuff like that. Dude, I love that sort of stuff in Classic. It's so damn interesting.
I like how chat's talking about the paladins that would just hang out in the back. Like the fight starts and they don't go into combat. They're just like staying as far away, waiting for someone important to die, and they run into resurrect.
We call them Ook-Resers, OOC, for out of combat, and it's the best thing in the world. Yeah, they're sitting there in their cloth gear because it has higher intellect and spirit because they want the regen, and they just sit out of combat, and it feels bad, man.
Yeah. I mean, it will matter for Nax. Nax is no joke in vanilla. I'm not sure the success of a Moonkin and Nax, so I can't speak for that. But I rated it as a crappy feral druid through AQ40. I know for a fact I was using bleeds. I'm pretty sure, 99% sure, that the current feral druid rotation is only shredding and ferocious biting. So I was ripping and shredding back, or whatever the other bleed combo point was. So I know I wasn't doing anything right, and I still rated through AQ back then. So you can play whatever class you want have fun in vanilla.
I mean, let's be honest. So many people back in the day were playing in these raids with computers that could hardly run the game. They were putting in minimum settings. They were getting like 12 FPS, and their ability to actually play properly was quite hindered. They still made it through. They had fun. They got through the experience. Maybe they got some cool loot. That's just how it was. Nowadays, PCs are infinitely better, and we're good. It's just accessibility. The average knowledge of a player when it comes to the game is going to be so much better. So if you're seriously, play whatever spec you want. It's going to be better than it was back then.
Even survival hunters have a place now. Apparently, what's the axe? Nightfall. The one that has the proc that makes the target take 15% more spell damage. There used to be Ret Paladins that were wielding that. Now it's apparently Survival Hunters because they can spam rank 1 wing clip the entire fight and never go in.
Oh, because you just never lose mana. Yeah.
Yeah, you just spam rank 1 wing clip and you're just
on it.
every single swing has a chance of proccing it, so you're just giving your raid constant 15% spell. So even, the game's still evolving.
That's so funny.
What, 15 years later?
That's
So even
so-
Survival Hunters
literally-
have a play.
Set up a macro that just hits the same key 18 times every 1.5 seconds, and you can just sit there and drink tea and...
You have a new job here, Jake. You're just going to be spamming.
I
rank
am
one
not
week.
playing survival. I will be playing marks.
But yeah, and even things that I'm looking forward to, this is a little side tangent, but all the private servers are EU because there's rules against it in the US, Blizzard can do lawsuits. So whenever the classic servers come out and I'm raiding not on 200 ping, but 2 ping,
That's hype, dude.
I've been playing
my
on
main
200
reason
ping
for not
so
playing.
long.
Yeah.
Dude, it's awful. I know, and I completely agree with everyone who hasn't played on classic or the private servers. There's the ping issue. There's the idea that it's not permanent, but when we get that low,
The idea that your character could just be deleted for no reason, right? The idea that someone could literally dupe your character and sell it. They're like, that guy has cool gear. It happens. People work their asses off, have their character duped, and sold to a player that just wants to be a badass. So that's just not...
that's not gonna fly on Blizzard servers.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously private servers are cool if you really miss it. Obviously it's nice to have because a lot of people miss the game, but they're not even perfect either. They're not 1-to-1. They're not exactly what the game was like. They're the best they could replicate. But yeah,
we didn't really address the point here though. We
so-
talked about a side point here. We need to go back to
That's
whether
the thing about this
balance-
podcast. It's like, eventually
there's
just
so
gonna
much to talk about. Yeah.
derail so hard, but it's like, that's fine.
But
There's just so much to talk
class
about.
design and balance. Obviously, the game was balanced over its duration, right? I mean, it's natural, and throughout classic. Should they do anything? And let me follow that up. If they continue past Next Ramus, which we'll talk about more, right? They're continuing to add content. Say they do that, right? Should the game still be considered individually and balanced in that setting ever?
Well, one of the main arguments that I see for balance changing, for instance, you see this a lot on private server discussions when a new fresh vanilla server launches. A guild will clear Molten Core so absurdly fast, people will be like, this is cool. No, it's not cool because they have 1.12 talents. Molten Core first came out when the Molten Core was designed as the main raid back in 1.0. The talent tree was so absurdly bad that mages didn't have instant cast Arcane Explosion back then. You had to put 5 points into improved Arcane Explosion to get an instant cast. The talent trees were so absurdly bad that with the new 1.12 talent points that all the private servers release on, which is apparently what Classic WoW is potentially going to release on, going into the base 1.0 Molten Core with no increased health pools, with those 1.12 talents, most people say that the content was a joke compared to when it was at a launch. So
that's
there's
interesting.
That balance discussion right there. How do you want to tweak Molten Core to make it more difficult, like how it was at the start? Or are you like, well, that's just the beauty of the beast. We have 1.12 talents. We're going to be stronger. Molten Core is going to be a joke initially. That's one of the arguments. That's one of the discussions that doesn't even talk about class balance. Just talks about that raid balance right there compared to the talents.
Hearing that, so I think we all agree that I want to see the raids rolled out slowly.
Oh, yeah.
Yes?
Progression-based system.
Yeah.
Where Molten Core comes out, time goes on, you get Onyxia, BWL, whatever, over time. And it'll just give you a reason to keep working towards new things. But if that is the case, yeah, Molten Core needs to be harder. I don't want Molten Core to be a breed. I want Ragnaros to feel like an epic encounter. I want that first Core Hound getting tranquilizing shot for my team and using that tool in MC to feel like a super badass moment.
If Molten Core is released with 1.12 talents in its current state, it's going to be cleared in the first week.
Oh, easily.
In the first day.
Absolutely.
First 2 days,
They won't even need 4 D40s because there's in Blackrock Spire there's a mob you can mind control that gives out like an 80 fire resist buff.
The fire,
so you can give that to your tanks, go kill Rag easily. You don't need a bunch of trank shots early on to clear the place. it is very easily cleared on private servers the first week it comes out. And
Yeah.
if they're not doing a progressive release system, let's just say they release all the content at once and Dire Maul is available at launch.
Ooh,
Dire Maul wasn't available back when Molten Core came
the
out.
gear,
And Dire
yeah.
Maul has better gear than
Than-
Molten Core.
yeah,
The
it
blues
does, yeah.
in Dire Maul are best in slot for a long time. So
And
if you
ZG
could
as
go-
well.
Yeah, ZG as well.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to go into ZG, get those epics, and then trot straight in the Blackwing Lair and stuff, you know?
I hope that they just boost the difficulty on these raids. And I know I might not be, or people might scoff at that idea, but I think harder raids it's just going to be cooler. Clearing the top raid in Molten Core right out of the gates, that's kind of troll.
No, but
I would like to see it increase in difficulty.
I don't think that's something that should be scoffed at because it's not the same iteration of the game. Like I said, it's not 1.0. MC was designed for 1.0, so it's not the game experience that was 1.0. If the game was going to release as 1.0 and then slowly evolve, which would be hilarious, they're not going to do that. We know that for a fact, actually. Then sure, but no, I'll be really sad if they don't tune it up. March?
I agree. I think they should definitely make MC harder. If they're for not releasing at 1.0, MC should definitely be scaled accordingly. And I'd also like them to progressively roll out the raids, not just all at once.
I think everyone agrees wholeheartedly that it should be progressive release for everything.
Yeah,
That
I'd be
would
very
just
disappointed if it wasn't.
Oh yeah, it would be a huge disappointment. I think that would hurt the game horribly. I'm torn on this specific matter regarding buffing the raids, and it also overlaps into buffing other classes. That there's no easy way to say this. I've lost trust in Blizzard at this point. How do we know they can buff the game properly? So for raids specifically, maybe health tweaking would be reasonable. What about when we get into class balance? Blizzard has a tendency of nerfing, not buffing. And it's such a tough... When it comes to just balance as a general negative blank statement, that is the thing I am most terrified about of Blizzard making any changes on, is just balance across the board, because I'm afraid they'll go in a bad direction with it.
Devil's advocate, though, is if they were to balance Classic WoW, they would be balancing it with the filter/lens of, we need to keep this classic. We need to keep this the way that it always has been, but make it better. Whereas, like, if they had the design philosophy that they currently do with like BFA and they did balance changes, obviously it's going to be a giant pant, or I can't say that. It's going to be a catastrophe. But if they did changes and tried to stay true to that mentality of making it like Vanilla WoW or Classic WoW, I think they could do an okay job with it. But man, would it ever be difficult?
It's going to be
no
hard.
matter what they do, they would have huge backlash from the community. Literally, no matter what they do. That's the thing. Even if it's the best possible thing they could do, the community will dump all over them for it.
Maybe my hopes are too high, because what I'm wanting of Classic WoW is to be the private server killer, at least for Vanilla WoW.
I think
I want it to destroy it, but it won't do that if they make changes that drastic.
So
True.
Just to give, I mean, you said you're worried and blah blah blah. Just kind of comparing it to the only other classic thing they've changed is Warcraft 3 got a patch a few months ago, and that's crazy. They did a balance update for Warcraft 3. They did some other updates with 1080p and 24-person custom games, but they also did a balance update, and the community loves it. Right? There's still a pretty determined community that exists behind that game, and I wouldn't say it's like unanimously like this is perfect, but they're having balance discussions again, and they're like super small things, right? And that's not an easy game to balance. There's huge discussions saying humans are really weak right now amongst the races in the game. Maybe humans can have this, and I think that's interesting. So I think there's definitely a conversation that could be had as to where it could be good for the game. But you're right. More or less, I don't want to see it. Right? I just want the game to be what it was.
This will kind of rotate into new content and that stuff. I want them to keep classic as possible. RuneScape did this, I don't know how many years back. They released their classic RuneScape servers, and alongside of it, they released experimental servers, where they took the classic model and made changes, introduced new content, did tweaks here and there. So when it comes to new content, I would love it to eventually be on a potential experimental server. Now, just got to get this out there, for RuneScape, the experimental server was a total bust, and they ended up closing it. So now it's just the new modern RuneScape and old school RuneScape servers. But they tried experimental servers where they could do balance changes, where they could introduce new content. That's eventually where I would like to see all of these things we're discussing, potential changes, happen on, is experimental servers. We just don't know if Blizzard's ever going to do that. And if they don't do that, when do we say this is the breaking point? We need to try changes in Classic WoW to keep this more alive. I don't know.
It's hard to say
what to do or what to say there.
Couple years in, I think, is the only way really to do it, with the slow rollout of raids and stuff like that. Once everyone has the like Naxxramas, not everybody, but Naxxramas is kind of approachable by the more general player base, I think is the time where you can actually have that conversation. Because, I'm sure we're all aware there's many areas within Azeroth that were intended to be released as a level 60 area.
Hyjal.
Like, exactly, Hyjal, as Shara, the battleground there, Karazhan, stuff like that, I believe was all intended to be level 60 content.
Darwin Pass, yep. And that could all be brought into it very easily and more. Like Emerald Dream was what, in beta technically, I think. I remember reading about it at least back then as a kid. So who knows what they could go into after Naxx.
It doesn't even have to be like raid content, like things like the Brewfest event. What if they introduced it in-game events to vanilla WoW? Those were really
holidays and stuff are.
Well, they were. There were some of them that were pretty cool.
Like the Christmas.
It was like Christmas only, and maybe like the Fire Festival.
Yeah, there
Brewfest didn't come out. Brewfest didn't come out to Burning Crusade and stuff.
I don't think we had Hollow's End was
introducing
BC.
count. Yeah,
was Dark Moon?
Hollow's End was
Dark Moon fair thing?
No, Dark
Moon was a thing in vanilla.
Yeah, the cards were a thing.
But
there's so much content they could introduce that
it's tough too, because what do you do with the items if you were to introduce new raid items? If they were better than Naxx items, you're going to have these warriors critting for 4,500 on people in PvP, literally one-shotting them with a Mortal Strike.
Yeah.
Because of so you'd have to do something with stats. You'd have to do something with scaling on items.
That's why they introduced resilience.
Yeah, it's so tough to add content to Classic WoW. As much as I would like to see it done perfectly, I don't know how it's going to.
That's a really good point, honestly.
It's going to be tough no matter what.
Oh, yeah. That's why I say experimental server. Just like a separate little side project where they can go nuts on it. Keep that vanilla flex. I mean, we're all like nostalgia nerds. We're like really happy right now about the prospects of this game, but I have a feeling it's going to do well. It's going to introduce a game style that modern day gamers have never experienced, and it will be too much for some. It will be too much for some, but I feel like a lot of people are going to look at this and go, "Wow, this is as good as people say," and hopefully it's successful, and then hopefully that opens, maybe Burning Crusade eventually. Maybe.
Well, let's not even touch that.
Experimental.
It's going to be interesting just to see the people returning to, because I'm 30 years old. I think that's probably around the average age is people that are like 30 and up. How old are you guys? You guys are younger than me. I know that, but
27.
12, by the way.
12, by the way.
I'm 24.
So you're like a baby, and
I literally started playing vanilla when I was like 8 years old.
Which is awesome.
I was like 10 or something, or 11 or something.
Yeah. But
13.
Yeah, people are married. I'm married, and I'm fortunate to mostly stream and play video games all day, where this is something I can commit and grind 40 plus hours a week, hopefully. But yeah, it's going to be interesting seeing people try to juggle their careers in Classic WoW, because modern WoW exists to retain those players, right? It's just simply is a different beast with the commitment needed. You can get from 110 to 120 in 8 hours, right? You're done. That's a new expansion. That's all the content. That's a new hero. He's leveled and done. And it's just not the same thing. So that's going to be super, super interesting to just kind of see what the community looks like on that front.
If you're used to 8 hours from 110 to 120, your first time through vanilla WoW is probably going to take you 8+ days. of playtime to get 1 to 60.
8 hours, you
the
make
first
it to
time
level
through.
10 out of 60, right?
Dude, your first time
Yeah.
playing vanilla WoW, I think it's probably going to be in the realm of 10 to 15 days played. I know my first level 60, I think I was 17 days played because you don't have any actually it's going to be a little different.
It's going to be a lot different add-ons as well. There are
That
going to
is
be a
true.
lot of add-ons.
PCs are
online.
faster. Like, there's a lot of
PCs are
things that are good.
faster.
Yeah, like internet's
But
faster.
even-
That's true.
We didn't even have Wowhead back then.
That's
Thoughtbot didn't come out till like halfway through WoW's existence. We had Alakazam before that, which was missing
God,
so much
Thoughtbot.
information.
Same time, these
that
average
name didn't age
players.
well.
At the same time, these average players are going to enter in the game and they're just going to get farmed on PvP servers so hard and realize that they can log in, play for 8 hours, and only get 1 level. That's it.
Yeah.
Because
And if you're
they're just
leveling
getting-
professions, exploring, doing dungeons slow you down while leveling for the most
Dude.
part, unless you got one with like 6 quests that you suddenly have. Like,
Yeah.
it is a
We're-
grind.
So many
Yeah, I
kids
got it
are
down to
gonna
6 days played.
How many?
I hit level 60 in 5.5 to 6 days played on my priest. And that was the best I've ever done. You know,
That's
I was
really
super
good.
young at the time, and it was leveling a shadow priest, which technically isn't the best class to level, but I was pretty proud of that. But man, it takes a long time to get to 60. It's an investment, and I love that. It's so
Yeah.
cool.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be really fun to watch new players die and have to run across the freaking world to get back to their body. Like, some of the graveyards are infinite far away at times, and
Hour-long Hearthstones.
yeah, cooldowns an
Ooh,
hour.
Have fun.
Flight points are far more scarce.
And expensive.
Yeah,
And
and
it's-
cost
yeah.
a
And
lot of
expensive,
freaking money.
Sometimes you just straight up walk to save money.
Can't afford it, boys. Hitch
Yeah.
a ride. Someone pick me up on your rocket,
Yeah.
Kappa.
So we talked a lot about, just kind of changes versus no changes, and naturally there's pros and cons to some things that we'd like to see, but for the most part, we're looking, I think I think the majority of the player base wants just that OG experience.
Yeah.
What class is everyone going to play?
Well, let's go down the line real quick. Let's get a final thought on the changes versus no changes. Everyone say, if you had to pick a side, changes or no changes, no middle grounds here, no fluffy bullshit. You had to pick a side, changes or no changes. Pick right now. Where do you sit?
Oh, no changes for sure. I don't want to open those floodgates. If it's between one or the other, either like open the floodgates and there's any
Yeah,
changes
it's either
possible.
if you're open to
Yeah,
any
no
changes,
changes
then
then.
you need to be open to all changes in my mind.
Yeah, no changes then for sure.
I don't
I feel
like sprinkles on my ice cream. I'm just going regular vanilla.
Hell yeah.
No changes.
Hey.
I mean, we know where I sit. No
Yeah,
change.
it's no changes, 100%. And I'm gonna again reaffirm that for me, after playing just a little bit on a private server recently in 1080p on a modern PC, dude, I don't notice the difference. Game feels great, right?
It's great.
Game feels
I love
great,
it.
and I could care less about the models. It really does feel great. So
At 300 ping, mind you. Game feels great at 300 ping on a janky ass server.
I know.
Imagine. I'm
You
sweating.
play a hunter, Jake, where you have to.
sweating.
Hunter is the most mechanic. He plays a hunter. He's the most mechanically intense class where you have to weave your auto shots between your spells, or you lose insane DPS. And I played a hunter on a private server at 250 ping, and I quit playing hunter because of that. Like,
I
it's
get 80
impossible
ping
to
at
do
home.
the
It's
thing.
not that bad. It's 80 ping from home. Yeah.
Oh damn.
To Europe.
That's pretty good.
super
'Cause
doable.
Yeah, it's totally doable. But I played from a California hotel on my laptop, and it was bad, dude.
Okay.
But yeah, no, Hunter's so cool. Just if you've never played Hunter back in the day, you have a dead zone, and PvPing against a Hunter is all about getting in their dead zone to punish them, because there's a minimum range on their ranged weapons, right? So if you're within 30 yards, I think it is. Maybe I don't know the number. I'll be honest, but I know based on feel. But it's you just cannot use any of your ranged abilities, but you're also out of range from using Wing Clip or Mongoose or whatever, or Raptor Strike, and it's really great. It's a really cool class to play because, like you said, you have your auto attack for range and melee, and it's just so fun.
As far as what we're playing, I'm right now stuck between a Shadow Priest and a Rogue. I really want to play a Rogue because I think that they have some of the most fun interactions in PvP. Also, PvE, they're absolute monsters. Some of the best DPS in the game. And they're just edgy, And I want to be that streamer that everybody knows is farming people in Ironforge and Stormwind City. I will find you, and I'm going to gank the living hell out of you. And it's going to happen over and over, and you're going to uninstall the game. And I want to be that guy. But then on the other side, I want to be the class that can body mages because rogues have a tough time against mages, and shadow priests just absolutely destroy.
Shadow priests are the
mages.
#1 PvP,
Yeah.
like 1v1 PvP class. So,
Yeah, exactly, and especially undead with devouring plague, man.
Over
you
lock,
can
really?
yeah, Shadow priest
They-
is by far the best 1v1
Just
class.
because the mana burn?
They're
I think
so
if
they're
warlocks are
healing.
full tier 3, they might be harder. But
Like stam
like
stacking
anything
warlocks
before
are pretty
that.
beastly.
And they
Yeah,
scale
but that's
so
only
well
in
with
Nax. That's
Yeah,
so
dude.
far away.
Yeah.
Shadow priests are the hardest 1v1 class in the game.
That's why I loved my shadow priest in vanilla, just because I could beat anybody. There's literally not a single player that could beat you if you played properly.
Yeah,
Fair enough. March, what are you going to play?
I'm playing a rogue. I mained rogue back then. I'm gonna main rogue again, 100%. There's just no doubt about it. Vanilla rogue was so disgusting. That, like, either undead or orc. Probably undead though, just because it's edgier for sure. Slaying enemies and then eating them? Are you kidding me? And then Will the Forsaken is just god tier.
Zoya, my boy.
Probably go in human warrior. Every private server I've played on, I've always
Mad
regret.
smile.
Sorry.
Wait till 3 Sunders.
Every single private server I've
Me
played
too,
on,
3
it's all like warriors are just so needed. It's always the hardest role to find. The last 2 private servers I played on, I played a Fury Warrior, which I loved in raids. So I'm gonna be going warrior first. I feel like if you're gonna commit your all to a class and make sure you max professions, you go for exalted on reps. Warrior's a great class to do that on because they're really a jack of all trades. My first alt is going to be a horde, rogue, or priest. I'm not sure yet. My first alt is going to be a PvP purely alt, and I want to be rogue or priest for the exact same reasons both of them talk about it. Rogues, just shadow priests for more of the BG grind, but rogues in world PvP have just
It's so
they're
fun.
so much fun.
Yeah, so
Just
fun.
with world PvP as a rogue. So my first alt's probably going to be an undead rogue, maybe an undead priest, but human warrior as my main.
Back when they first released Honor Points, there were no BGs, and there was all of the PvP in South Shore and Terran Mill. This is like the cool. There was a guild called Red Cell. It was a horde guild, and I was just an alliance player, but they were a huge PvP guild, and they always had they called it. I mean, on the forums, it's called steamrolling, because they literally steamroll us. The hunters would, the warriors would charge in. The mages would blink forward and then arcane explosion. And then as soon as that all was happening, you had a whole squad of rogues coming in, sapping the healers, ambushing, whatever. And it's just like that kind of flavor and flair of like your rogues existing as like a squad, like a team, stealthing around world PvP. Super cool. Super fun. So I get it. But I hate rogues. I play hunter because I got flair and I will wing clip you and, kill you, hopefully.
Good luck.
I think I'm going to play... I don't know if I'm playing Night Elf or Dwarf. It really depends on the Shadow Meld interactions with... I don't need Shadow Meld aim shot, but...
If you're going Alliance Hunter, you're going Dwarf. You gotta be Thanagan.
Thanagan is my character in the D&D show we do, Roll Need. But I don't know. I'm probably going to play my Night Elf. That's my original tune. We'll see. Might have to kill Thanagan in Roll Need. And Horde, I've never played Mage in all the years I've played in WoW, so I think I'm going to play a Mage for Horde.
That's fun.
Mage is pretty cool.
Mage was my first 60, so I love mages.
It'll be fun. I think we hit all our topics today. I mean, obviously there's a ton to talk about with the game, but do you guys think we're going to get a release date? Do you want to speculate release dates at all?
If we
I'm
don't get a
hoping
release
very
date, I'm
soon.
going to be very upset.
I can't imagine it's that much later than BlizzCon, right?
Yep.
Do you think they'll make us wait like a whole other year? Like,
I
no,
want
it's gonna
March.
be,
Dude.
very
If
soon.
it's not up by March, I'm going to be so mad.
No, the thing
I'm
is,
expecting.
I thought you were talking to me. I was like, what?
At first, I realized I started to reiterate it. Like,
what were you saying, Zoya?
I was expecting June, but if we don't get a release date at BlizzCon, I will be furious.
I think I would like to say there's no universe that exists where we don't get a release date, because the thing that they said was the hardest part was porting basically porting onto current server architecture.
Yeah.
And if they have a demo working, that means that they've done all of that. So if they have a working demo, chances are they're like 95% or done completely. maybe just like some numbers tweaking, some stuff here and there, but for the majority of it, it should be all complete. I don't see it getting released any time past June of next year. I think February or March could be plausible.
God, that would get so hard.
But dude, if they don't announce a release date, that's gonna blow my mind. Like it'll make zero sense from any perspective
all the
you
ramp
look at
up, all the ramp up, announcing it last BlizzCon, and then now giving us a demo, putting it in our hands, and be like, "Here, wait another year." That would be so
That would be the
grimy,
worst, yeah.
so grimy.
It's not an alpha; it's a demo.
You can argue that they're appeasing the private server community by giving us that early release and stuff, or the early announcement, but still, I think that'd be harsh. Business
Maybe
model.
just say when a release date, like when they will release a release date. They have to have give us some inclination
has to be
when the
something.
game is coming out.
Yeah.
Agreed. So business model, I think, Kala, you told me you read on Reddit that the rumor was, I don't think this is official, that $15, the normal subscription that you pay, the $15, if you already pay that, you get Classic, right? You don't have to buy the game, you can just play Classic. If you don't subscribe to BFA, you can pay half that, like $7, and then play just Classic for that. That's a Reddit rumor or somewhere, right?
That's just information that I've read. I'm not sure.
I saw the same post. I'm not sure where I saw it, and I don't know if anything official is backing it, but I remember seeing something like that.
But yeah, I mean, regardless, I'm pretty sure it's going to be either the same price or less. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal, and to most people, it probably doesn't matter too much. Yeah, I believe that all that information that got released isn't quotable or reputable, but I would. Even so, the speculation is based on what people would think is actually going to happen. And
that seems reasonable, right?
When I see, you get Classic with a regular WoW subscription, yes, that makes sense from a business perspective. Or it's half the price if you only want to play Classic. Again, makes sense. So even though the speculation might be completely flawed or out the window, I don't see why we can't kind of hold on to that as something that might be close to true.
Jared, how hard would you get if WoW came out on November 23rd?
Don't say that.
Which is its anniversary. That would be its 14-year anniversary.
I mean, I would be the sooner the better. Like,
Kala's like, no, I'm not gonna be home.
You guys are gonna be in Japan.
Yeah, dude, that's tragic for us.
I think it was almost a year ago that I decided, okay, I'm done with vanilla servers, and since then I've just been like, well, yeah, of course it was a year ago. It was when Classic WoW came out. I was like, okay, I'm done with private servers. So the sooner it comes out, like, I have not enjoyed any games since the announcement. All I want to do is play Classic. So yeah, the sooner it's out, the happier I'm going to be. If it came out in a month, I would. Can't say on stream.
I hope not, man. I really hope not, because like I said, I'm taking a little bit of a vacation in November.
You selfish son of a bitch! No,
dude, I would cry. My vacation would be cut short. I would have to play.
Yeah, it would ruin it.
But or it would make it better.
Do we have time for one viewer question? Because I saw one in earlier I wrote down.
Yeah, we can get a few in. If there's any that stand out to you, and if you guys have any questions in the chat, you can ask them.
So, when I was playing vanilla, and some private servers have done the same, I had my mage originally, and the reason I rolled my druid was because a new wave of servers came out. They were fresh start servers. I went there, and that's when I rolled my horde druid. Do you want to see the same thing with these servers? That after 6 months, hopefully 6 months, I think 6 months is a great time. There's a new wave of servers that come out that people can go re-roll their alts on. Because that's what if they do go something like that, that's what I'm planning is my human warrior on the first wave of servers. Whenever the second wave of servers is, whether it's 2 months or 6 months, that's when I'm going to make my first alt. What do you guys think on those kind of release schedules for servers? Because that's what was happening in vanilla. It was whenever the game was getting more bigger, they had to make more servers. So that's when they started releasing more servers.
Do you know who asked that question? Because that's a really good question.
It was I don't know. It started with
I
a
think
K.
that's fantastic.
Whoever you are, shout out to you. That's a great question.
It gives that fresh experience to people who want to experience it. If maybe you weren't able to get time off for the release of WoW, and then you get on and everybody's already level 45, and by the time you hit 60, everybody's already tier 1'd out, and you don't get to really be part of the forefront of pushing new content with new people. I think people will have that opportunity to do it if new waves of servers roll out. I also think that's
who it was. Sorry. Sorry, I
if
didn't
servers
cut you off.
get super low population and maybe they can merge servers as well if it ends up happening, because that was something that happened
Yep.
as well. I think all that stuff could totally be a possibility.
It was Rio Kai
Yeah,
that
Rio Kai.
asked it earlier.
Thanks for the question,
Ryokai's
man.
the boy, by the
Shout
way.
outs to Ryokai.
Yeah, I think we were talking about the server size and economies and stuff earlier, and how that's a really important thing. I think they don't want to overcommit and have too many servers right out of the gates. They have no idea how many people are going to play this game. I think they have an idea of how many people are playing on the private servers, but that's free. How many of those will translate over? But
Well, there is one of the issues with vanilla WoW is especially if they're doing progressive release systems. Let's say it's just based off like a 4-month timer. The top guilds are going to be farming Molten Core from week 1, right? So let's just say it takes 3 months for Blackwing Lair to release. They finally get the Blackwing Lair. They got that on farm in a month. What are they doing now until AQ comes out? Well, if a new fresh server is released, they can go re-roll their Horde characters or their other faction characters on a new secondary server. There's a lot, like when you're at the top level, I know this is not going to matter to 98% of the player base, but when you're at that top level, having those additional servers allows you to fill that downtime, especially when they're on different progression syncs.
yeah, no,
I would love to see them delayed like that.
Same.
Me
I
too.
think it'd
Yeah,
be
I'd be
best.
very open to an idea.
Sounds
Yeah.
organic, honestly.
If you have any other questions in chat you guys want us to answer, go ahead. That was the only one that I wrote down earlier, but I wasn't paying too much attention when they were asking questions.
You guys, I can't wait. I get this insane feeling when I think about in the next couple of weeks I get to play, and there's something like I don't even know if I'm allowed to announce this yet. Actually, Caden told me I can wait a week. I get to stream Classic WoW from BlizzCon. I've been invited to do it. So that, while it's that I'm so excited for. Like that's gonna be the coolest thing in the world. I actually get to stream Classic WoW from BlizzCon, and to me, if I told my young self that, I would crap my pants. Like that's the most exciting thing on the planet. I'm so stoked for it. This whole game is going to just, I don't know, maybe we're putting it on a pedestal, but I feel like it's going to change my life. And it sounds so cheesy, holy crap, but I just want it so bad, and I cannot wait. Only a few weeks left until we get to play the demo, and it's just, I'm so stoked.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in love with this game so much that I couldn't wait for Blizzard to release it, and we started playing Dungeons and Dragons in Classic WoW, so I'm on board with you there, man. I've been waiting for this for so long.
Same. Guys, we are a few minutes away from giving away 2 more BlizzCon virtual tickets, which gets you access to play the Classic WoW demo on November 2nd through the 8th, and also the ability to watch all of the awesome contents coming out of BlizzCon. I know March, Kyle, and I are all going to be flying out there. Blizzard is like, I still don't know what I'm doing. You found out that you get to stream Classic WoW. There's still a chance I get that. There's still a small hope. But at the very least, I'm bringing all my gear. I'm going to be recording content out there. We're going to be doing some live podcasting from there. The 3 of us will probably call in to Zoya and do a show like the day after BlizzCon, like honestly from a hotel room, because sure, I'm bringing all my stuff to make sure that we can absolutely do that and just dive in. And give you guys that firsthand experience. And I'm working on getting interviews with developers, direct interviews with Classic WoW devs, the people that are making the game. I'm doing what I can to get in there and just talk about a lot of the things we talked about tonight, and just kind of the pros and the cons and the challenges of transitioning, rebuilding this miraculous game that is truly one of a kind. So definitely look forward to that. If you guys are new to the stream, I know there's definitely some new names. Do hit the follow button here on Twitch and check out their YouTube. It's SolidJakeGG across the board for that. And I will just go ahead and say this before I forget. This will be an ongoing show, right? This is episode 1. We're going to continue talking about this game, especially, especially once it comes out. But we will have an RSS feed available for MP3s and all of that good stuff in the future. That's something that'll come after BlizzCon. But yeah, man. I guess I'm going to start that countdown for the giveaway.
It's just hard to bring up any more topics right now
because they take so long.
Because we'll go way over, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go into it.
So this one's gonna... I'm gonna wait till it says it in the chat.
Okay, type raffle.
Exclamation raffle.
Exclamation point raffle.
This one's going for 5 minutes, so pretty much until we actually close out for the show, you guys can flood the chat. Perfect. Yeah, no, I mean, what's an easy topic?
Nothing. There's nothing easy.
1.12.1 is what they said it's going to be based on. So that means like there will be an auction house in Stormwind. What was the second auction house they added? Because Org had an auction house to begin with, right?
Yeah, Ironforge always had one.
Ironforge did. No, and then Stormwind got one. But for Horde, I didn't play much Horde in Vanilla. Was it originally just Org? And then they added
I honestly
one.
don't know. I don't remember them ever.
I don't remember that
only having one or when they all got added. I just remember them being everywhere. The only one I ever used was the Orgrimmar one, so I don't think it really like I had no reason to go to Thunder Bluff and use an auction house or.
I was always using Undercities.
Yeah,
the outer ring.
Yeah, like, that's super dope. The only
that was
problem
probably
with
the one they
Undercity
added.
was there's no dueling. Undercity is my favorite, but you couldn't get your duel on, you know?
No.
Yeah.
By the Zeppelins theoretically, but it's kind of a pain.
Yeah. So next podcast will probably just be, discussing what we do, what information we do get at BlizzCon.
Yeah,
and
next
stuff like
podcast will be me not wearing a shirt, getting all hot and bothered because we got a release date, right?
I love to hear it. The first part and the second part, actually. Wait, while we have a couple minutes, do you guys all want to talk about real briefly your favorite moment with Classic before we end? Back in the day, I'm sure there's 30 seconds.
Colin, why don't you start? Why don't you start?
Okay. Honestly, it was probably between when I first got my. Actually, no, I'm gonna go with this. So when I first rolled the character, it was a human warrior. It was my first character ever, and I was leveling up by myself. It took me like all summer. It took a long freaking time, and I was level 47, and I was doing a Warsong Gulch. Loved Battlegrounds, and I queued up against a Horde team, and I used to like smash people. If you were competent at World of Warcraft, you would just absolutely destroy people in PvP just because people weren't that great at the game. Let's be honest. And I was playing against this troll mage, and he just absolutely farmed me. Everything I did, he had a counter to it, and I got so rattled that I deleted my character, rolled a troll mage, and never looked back.
Holy shit!
Never went back to Alliance. I got so butt sad by this guy that I just went Horde.
That's your Horde origin story?
Yes, that's how I became Horde. And now that one guy, don't remember his name. I just remember exactly what he looked like. I have images in my head of him jumping and Kona colding me and just absolutely just bodying me, boys. And there's nothing I could do about it. Yeah.
For
I don't
me,
know. I can't pick it one. There's just too many amazing World PvP moments. It's like I just love it all, man.
Actually, are any of them not World PvP? I'm curious because mine was.
I have one of each.
Okay, well, I'll get mine out of the way. It's just my brother and I. He was a Night Elf Druid. I was a Night Elf Hunter. We were playing in the same room, and we had just made it to Ashenvale. We have no idea where we're going. We're just heading east down the road, and we come along to Splinter Tree Post, and this is the first time you'll ever see a Horde town as a Night Elf player, right? And we ran into a group of 2 Horde around the same level as us, and we won this epic battle. And then some other guys came, and there was like it just turned into this whole on all out thing. My computer could barely handle it because this was like a $200 Hewlett Packard piece of onboard graphics, just absolutely garbo to your computer.
Oh, no.
And it was still I was just the biggest smile. I couldn't stop talking about it at school the next day. My friends are like, God, Jake, you're such a loser. And I did not care.
The hardest part of the 2v2 was the hardware limitations. Feels bad.
It's true, though. 30 seconds left on the raffle. Get your raffle in there, guys. Exclamation raffle. Zoya.
And unlike Kala and Solid Jake, I know how to do a 30-second story. because those were neither 30-second story, sirs. My PvP one was on my mage. There was the Gurubashi Arena. A chest would spawn there every 3 hours, and when you got 12 of the trinket from the chest, you could turn it into the a blue chest. And when I farmed it on my mage, there was a guy there, another alliance. We always dueled for it, and I got mine before him. And I remember a few days after I got mine, he messaged me and said, "Hey, where'd you go? I haven't seen you in a few days." I'm like, "I got mine, dog. I got before you," and it was just that fun little PvP rivalry at that arena. Because in the Guru Rush arena, it was faction versus faction too. If you're on the same faction, you would fight your teammates there. And then
that was insane.
my PvE one was my Feral Druid. The very first time I raided Molten Core, the guy wanted me to go Resto, and I told him, "Hey, let me go Cat, and if I don't do okay damage, I'll go Resto forever." And I was Feral for the entire duration of that guild. So
30 seconds. Munka.
that was like 80. That was like 50 seconds compared to the 3-minute stories they got.
Yo, give him the flame. He flamed us.
Yeah, no, bring it. Mark, your turn.
Also, I already said I don't have one. There's just too many like amazing world PvP situations that like I haven't played in so long that I can't even like rack my brain and think of one particular one. But it's just probably something in South Shore, the Terran Mill, like Hillsborough area. Just so much went down there. So much time world PvPing there.
Yeah.
It definitely is just a world PvP scenario though. But there's just too many good ones to choose one in particular.
Oh yeah.
That being said, we gotta draw some winners though, right?
We have 2 more codes to give out, so we are gonna pick a winner right now. Dr. Jones a lot. Congrats, man.
I want to live over.
Hello?
That was my excitement speech.
Oh, good.
Congrats, Dr. Jones a lot. It's late, dude.
It is late. And let's see if I can pick another winner, or I have to do the raffle again. I should be able to pick another one, though. And Felian. Congratulations, guys.
And Dr. Jones a lot. Woo! Congratulations,
Congrats, everyone.
And thank you for
Everyone else.
watching, and thank you to Blizzard Entertainment for not only creating the games that we all love and enjoy and have built a career around over the last several years, but for giving us those keys to give away.
Yeah. So
Those are supplied by Blizz.
Here's the easiest way for me to get you the code most quickly. Jones a lot, Felian, and Bueno. You guys are the 3 that won them today. If you can join my Discord, you can type !Discord or just scroll down and find me on there and send me a direct message. Like contact me. I'll give you guys the code real quick. Otherwise, I can try to do it through Twitch PMs, but there's like oftentimes settings don't work. I've had multiple situations where I cannot send it through Twitch private message because of people's settings. So please use Discord if you have it. If you don't, try to private message me on Twitch as well, and I'll get you guys your codes right after the show. But congrats again. Make a shout out to Blizzard for giving us those codes. And guys, this has been so fun. We've been wanting to do a show like this for Classic WoW for a long time, and it feels so good to talk about the game.
It's only gonna get better too. Like think about how much we covered with so little information and like available to us. It was pretty much just a fully speculative podcast episode. Like once we have more info, once the game gets closer and closer to being released, it's just gonna get better.
Question in chat, did you guys mention a fixed time for the show? So basically on this channel we do Roll Need on Monday nights at 10 p.m. That is a classic WoW Dungeons and Dragons campaign. There's always the DM for that. I'm just a player in it. We've got some other guys. That's on Mondays. Wednesdays, there's often going to be a Heroes of the Storm podcast with March, Colin, and myself talking about Heroes of the Storm. And this will likely be slated for Thursdays. That's the goal, to do it on Thursdays. It's not necessarily going to be every week. Next week is TwitchCon. The week after that is BlizzCon. We're going to do a show post BlizzCon. I'm not exactly sure when we're fitting that in yet, but we're gonna record one right after BlizzCon, and then I think we'll probably announce a consistent time slot closer to the end of November when you guys are back from Japan. I think it'll be easier to be consistent with that kind of thing because they're going to Japan for like 3 weeks after BlizzCon. So the end of November, December, we'll have an announcement. There will be shows though before then, just maybe not on the exact same time and date. Awesome.
Thanks for the invite to the show, by the way.
Oh, hell yeah, boys.
Same.
Thank you for doing this.
And thanks everyone for being here.
I don't know if we're gonna do a town holiday for classic.
Two separate town holidays.
I don't know if I can survive 2 town holidays a year, man. Like, we had a casualty last year. Dunk Train will never recover.
I'll never recover. I don't want to do a town holiday again.
Oh,
I
you
blacked
have,
out.
you have no
I've blacked
call.
out
If you need someone to
twice in
sling
my
some
life.
beers, you let your boy know. I will definitely participate if you need someone to sling beers and talk about video games. Just saying.
We will have a town holiday in December, but there will just be the one. I cannot believe we remember that quote from 3 years ago, Vexicus. That's insane. All right, we're going to transition to shout-outs. Kala, we'll start with you, man.
Yeah, shout out to all you guys for just making this not seem like 2 hours and 6 minutes. It just felt like 15 minutes talking about such a fantastic game. Lots of love to you guys. Thanks for everybody for showing up. Make sure you give this channel a follow, okay? Because we're going to be doing many, many more of these wonderful podcasts talking about a game that we all love. If you guys want to follow me, I'm twitch.tv/Kala. And yeah, my social or my Twitter is just below here. So yeah, thanks for showing up and hanging out, everybody. And congrats to all the winners.
I know I'm throwing this on the show right during shout-outs, but this is the original WoW website. I just want everyone to see it. March.
Oh, I wanted to talk about. Okay, sorry.
The OG WoW website.
We'll have lots of times
Hog
we don't
champion.
March, my boy. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, just like Kala said, thanks to everybody that came out and watched the first episode of this. Also, make sure to follow this channel, especially with BlizzCon right around the corner. I definitely want to be staying in the loop on all of Jake's socials and this channel so that you can catch us talking about the new content. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at twitch.tv/ggmarch or just ggmarch on everything, Twitter, Instagram.
And March has an E.
Yeah, March has an E. It's right, like it is right down here.
They might be
And,
listening to MP3,
MP3s, March.
Oh.
Gosh.
Sorry, I'm new to this podcasting thing. Yeah, GGMARCHE. Okay, March with an E at the end. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for having me. And yeah.
My boy Azoya. He's just
The
looking
first
at-
shout out is to Mr. Kala. I don't know how long ago it was, but 6 months ago or so, I messaged Jake. We need to do a classic WoW podcast, and Jake's response was, "You know what's weird? Kala mentioned this a few weeks ago." So the son of a bitch beat me to the punch. He gets the initial credit. But the show was great. Very happy with our cast. Again, 2 hours flew by absurdly quickly, and I'm sure every show is going to be like this going forward. My only shout out is to go watch our other show, Roll Need. I'm a brand new dungeon master, but it has become something that I've just become absurdly passionate about. It is the most fun I've ever had doing anything. And I was able to combine dungeon mastering with my love for classic WoW. So we have a show every Monday night called Roll Need. It is a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition adventure that takes place in the world of classic WoW. Our party is currently in Redridge, doing quest chains that you would do in vanilla WoW, with the own little Dungeons & Dragons twist. We all play our own characters. We all do our own voices. It's a lot of fun. So
You
if you
claim
have
that
any
we're actually
interest-
successfully doing regular quest chains, but man, we're a bunch of dinguses. I'll say that.
we're a bunch of things.
Part of the fun, man.
It is a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll be getting... Roll Me is going to do a whole bunch of stuff with WoW and content, and hopefully we'll be seeing March and Kala pop in to our adventures as well as other shows on the line. But if you have any interest in both World of Warcraft and Dungeons & Dragons, check out Roll Need every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on this channel, as well as the YouTube and MP3 links that you can find down below.
Yeah, guys, I just want to say thank you to everyone that has tuned in and followed. There's a lot of new people coming in. This is the first official bit of content I've ever created for World of Warcraft. Been playing the game all my life, right? 14 years, been playing WoW. I've made content for Overwatch. I've made content for Heroes of the Storm. I've made content for StarCraft via Major League Gaming. And I've made content for Hearthstone via BlizzCon. I produced a show. Never done WoW. And I've always wanted to. And you know what? Classic is the thing that finally made me jump. This is the first of many episodes here. I'm going to be putting a lot of videos out in general, and I am going to be streaming the game full time when it comes out. That's all I want to do. Once Classic comes out, that will be my life. So, I mean, I'm still going to do stuff with Heroes, like TownHall Heroes, right? That's going to exist. We're having a lot of fun with it, but Classic will absolutely consume my soul, and I cannot wait. My wife knows that she has to play it just so that we don't have to so I don't have to be murdered, right? And she's excited to play it. So thanks for the follow here, youtube.com/SolidJakeGG. If you missed half the episode, you want to check it out. Later, the VOD will be going up right away. MP3 feed in the future and other things as well. We'll see you guys after BlizzCon for a BlizzCon recap discussion, maybe with a guest, who knows? But that'll be our next episode. Can't wait to see you there for episode 2. GG's. Good night.
GG's.